Hello everyone, we are back here in Mamaia at the European Youth Chess Championship. I am FIDE Master Călin Gheorghiu and I'm joined here by the lovely women FIDE Master Maria Ursente. Thank you Maria for putting up with my jokes, for commenting here for 4 hours a day to present you, the audience, with the latest news from Mamaia, what the players are doing, how the games are developing, and the atmosphere here.
It's so great to be here. It's day 6 already. The competition is very tough, but we also had a day off, so we're going to be talking a bit about how it was for us as well and for the players, because they had some interesting activities as well.
Yeah, we had a day off. It was full of surprises. I played football on the beach and I actually scored some goals, which is a surprise for me. And we also did some seaside, just hanging around, swimming. The weather is still nice here in Mamaia.
A bit windy, but still nice.
Yeah, a bit windy, but yeah, you can still swim for maybe 200 meters in front of the beach, and it was nice. We got tanned a bit, which was the goal for the summer. Even though the summer has ended, we're still trying to enjoy the weather. And yeah, we actually played some chess as well. Maria is trying to get back with her career. How is it going with the English opening nowadays? Is it still holding on?
You know what, it's a bit tough.
Okay.
Getting back into the game, as we were discussing before going live. It's still tough. It's like learning how to move the pieces again.
You haven't played for 15 years?
12.
12?
I
Okay,
think.
12, yeah.
So a long, long time. But you know, it's surprising that some things you don't really forget. They're
Still there?
They're automatic.
Okay.
There are some reflexes that are still working, which is great because it means you have at least something to work with when you're trying to get back in shape. And definitely there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of tactics.
And a lot of tactics,
which is something that we definitely love and promote here, and we want to show you some interesting games along the way as well. So we do that. We do tactics.
Yeah, we do tactics every day. Even though it still seems like commentary job is easy, you just shuffle around with the strategic concepts. It's a lot of calculation as well, and we're trying to keep sharp for you by doing tactics every day on chess.com or however we can.
But tell me more a bit about your dancing during
My dancing.
the day off, because we're just easing into day 6 here at Mamaia, the European Youth Chess Championship. And again, we had a day off. Everyone, all the players had a day off. They enjoyed some relaxing activities, and you got to enjoy a bit of dancing as well. So I'm sure everyone is interested to know a bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. So was it Saturday? So on Saturday,
It was Saturday, yes.
we had the morning around 10 a.m. and we couldn't stream live because the studio had to change the location. And what we did was some interviews. So we need to mention that as well. This was our work on Saturday. We did interviews, and you can actually watch that on Facebook and YouTube. We tried to capture the atmosphere on the under 10 category. And we talked to some parents, some coaches. It was actually interesting, and also
and to some young players as well.
yeah, young players. And I also got some new insights on how the parents are viewing the competition. Actually, because there were some things that we didn't realize. There were some kids who are here for the first time. Their goal was not to become European champion, but still there was a lot of passion for the game they were developing, and some parents that were so open-minded that they realized, okay, my child is not going to be number 1, but I'm still going to enjoy this process and ask him to give his best and be part of this amazing community. So there are still players here, even though it's the European stage, is the highest stage, they're still here for the love of the game. So I like it when top competitors are still working together with people who are maybe playing chess for a hobby right now, but the atmosphere is great for both sides, for people who are at the very top and for people who are also.
And I feel that they're all invested more or less the same. So even the players who were playing maybe lower in terms of the boards, they still go every day, and they're very invested at the board. You can actually watch them being so nervous before the game. We were actually in the hall when we were doing the interviews the other day, and the tension was really high. It's clear to me that every player wants to win, which is great to see at board number 1 and at board number 20 equally the same.
And from what we were talking with the parents, we realized, especially in the under 10 category and under 8, that rating differences are not that significant because there are many players who haven't played tournaments, and maybe they are still good at chess but don't have the ratings. So it was one of the first conclusions we drew, that ratings here don't matter as much as outside this type of competitions. So that's why we see so many upsets and so many balanced games between players who are maybe 300 or 400 rating points of difference.
And it's good to see that, because we like to see competitions that is really tight. We actually like to see some upsets.
Yeah, we are
We're not gonna
commentators.
lie.
We are rooting for the joy of the game, for the most amazing games, and yeah, we actually have a couple right now that we may show on
You
the
still
board.
didn't tell the people
Yeah,
about
I
your
dodged
dancing.
the-
You
okay.
kind of deflected a bit, but I'm going to let it slide. We can watch the first game, but I'm going to come back with that question.
Yeah, I definitely dodged the dancing question, but we will get back to it later on once we have the board set up. Okay, this board is good as well. So we were actually looking what happened on Saturday, and we picked the two most interesting games, and we had this game from the girls under 8 category. It was Carla Markish against Meriban Ahmadi, and it started off with Sicilian, and yeah, actually we don't have the images on the screen, so maybe we can delay that. Maybe.
So this is the time you tell us about the dancing on Saturday.
Yeah,
How did
okay.
you feel? What type of music did you dance? I'm asking the questions like I wasn't there.
Yeah,
If you
okay.
if you can see that.
The board is back, but now, but okay, I will tell about it. Let's see if this board. Okay, this board is also here. So, okay, I'll talk about some dancing, and then we get back to the chess. So what happened? It was a usual night out. We were playing some blitz. We were talking about different stuff, and at one point we decided to visit this beach bar. It was right near our hotel, and we weren't expecting that much, but all of a sudden we get there, and it's like a different universe. A lot of people, around 40 people, were dancing and were having fun, and it was just near our hotel where everybody is tense from the chess and stressed, and just around the corner it was a different kind of world. Everybody was relaxed, and we danced some Zumba, and that was
That was our Saturday.
that was our Saturday. Yeah. Not that interesting, not as interesting as the Karokan, but I tried some Zumba steps, and slowly getting there with the rhythm. So yeah, that's what we did, and it was actually good to get away from the chess. Even for us as commentators, we still do chess 4 hours here. We do 1 hour of tactics before to get sharp. So having a break from chess is always refreshing, and now I'm actually curious to see what's happening today, because it's already round 6. And
Round 6. And the tensions get higher and higher because we only have 3 more days until the end of this competition. Again, it's the European Youth Chess Championship. The stakes are really high.
Yeah, exactly. And we could feel by looking at the games. Okay, we chose for today just a couple of most interesting games, but we could sense the tension. Maybe some decisions were more conservative, not taking too many risks. So
Exactly.
it's really different from what we saw in day one. Day one, there was some rating differences and okay, chess skills difference as well. But here, everybody's kind of on the same level, and they're trying not to risk too much. Is definitely a different game.
A lot of strategy,
A
basically.
lot of strategies, and it's all depending on the rankings, on the player's form, if their opening preparation went well, and so on. So, okay, let's go straight to the chess and see a game from yesterday. We had the girls under 8 category, where we were looking at Markish Ioana playing against Ahmadi Meriban. But until then, we have some. Okay, until
Some
then.
images from the room, because the round just started, and we want you to get some live insights into what's happening and how it's looking for the players as well. How do you sense the?
Yeah, I think at this
The
stage of
atmosphere.
the tournament, the opening preparation impact is much higher than before. I think now is the moment where people realize that the first 10 moves can make or break their whole tournament, actually, because they're playing against their top rivals. So I think we're going to see some time spent in those 10 to 20 moves, so that the crucial decisions will be made. And yeah, we can definitely see the pressure of the competitors as well. So just in a few moments we will get to our first game of the day, and it happened on Saturday. It was board number 1 for girls under 8. We had Carla Markish, as we said, against Ahmadi Meriban, and yeah, we're actually discussing a bit about this opening, which is really instructive. This is called the Smith-Morra Gambit, and a lot of players tend to take here on c3, accepting the gambit and then trying to make their development on par with the white's quicker development. But we're just sharing with you a quick tip about this exact position. If you're playing knight to f6, white is more or less forced to play e5, and now if you jump with the knight on d5, you'll get a direct transposition to a variation of the Alapin Sicilian, and this is how you can get away from all this mess of the Smith-Morra Gambit if you ever want to avoid it. Of course, there are also other moves here, like pawn to d3, giving the pawn back but still keeping white's development a bit awkward. But we recommend knight f6, and you just get rid of all this mess for the Smith-Morra Gambit. But Carla chose this gambit because she was playing against a high rated player, and she decided this is the chance to risk it all. And Meriban actually accepted the gambit, and we will see how the game development. They both got their pieces out, which is really important. But we just want to point out the critical moments which happened actually at move 7. We had pawn to e6, which you don't really see in this kind of structure, because we know with Sicilian you have to make a choice. You either go g6, bishop g7, and you put your pawn to d6, or you go pawn to e6 and then pawn to d6. You rarely have the time to play e6 and g6 as well, because once you play e6, this square on d6 is weak, and if your bishop has left f8, there's nobody really defending it. And after e6, Carla played the best move, which was knight to b5, jumping straight to d6, and we can already see that black has lost the right to castle with king f8. And here we're expecting a win for white, because the moves are just flowing easily. You bring your other knight to attack the king, and it felt like black's position is close to hopeless. A small tactic here, you sacrifice a knight, but then you pin it with a queen. The game just flowed really easily for white, but this was the moment where the crucial decision was made. It's move 17. White has just captured this pawn. It's based on a pin. You cannot capture with the pawn because this bishop is still checking the king. And after queen f6, you have to make a decision regarding the exchange of pieces. And maybe we can talk more about this topic today. How you're supposed to do your trades during a game. But we know this golden rule, especially when you're attacking, when your opponent's king is under trouble. We know that you are 99% of the times not supposed to exchange your queens, unless there's of course some concrete advantage, you gain material and so on. But here we were really surprised by Carla's choice to just take on f6, because there were many other good alternatives. There was queen to h7 check, or pretty much any move that h5, sorry, pretty much any move that doesn't trade the queens is actually better for white. But here, once you decide to trade the queens, okay, black's problems are almost gone. If we do the counting of the pawns, is it equal?
Yeah, it's equal.
Equal pawns, and okay, we can argue there are more pawn islands for black. There are 3 pawn islands against 2, but such a minor thing compared to getting checkmated is just nothing. And here already rook b1, this move hints at a sort of passive approach, maybe.
I mean, it's clear that she wanted to do something with the bishop in c1. So she wanted to maybe play bishop f4 or to bring either way the bishop into the game. Definitely, maybe not the best alternative. Still a solid position for white, but it's interesting to see the difference from move number 8 to move number 18.
Yeah, in 10 moves everything has changed, and I think also on the psychological side, white felt like she was winning. I mean, you can feel your knight is on f7, your opponent's king is on f8, and maybe this decision of converting to this particular endgame was taking into account also the standings. She was thinking, okay, I cannot lose this endgame, maybe a draw is good enough. But this kind of mindset doesn't really maximize the opportunities when we're talking about attacking your opponent's king. And yeah, rook b1 was played because this pawn is hanging. As Maria said, we want to develop this bishop on c1. Always struggling to develop this kind of bishop, c1, c8. Yeah, we were talking about this throughout the days. It's always these bishops that have a harder time finding the right squares. Here black can jump on the long diagonal with bishop b7, while white, okay, bishop f4, but and bishop b7. But it feels like black's pieces are a tiny bit better place. Okay, this bishop on d6 is indeed beautiful, but I feel like my bishop on b7, maybe along with the rook on g8, can provide some damage. And later on, we could see that black's piece is actually stirred towards the king side. Beautiful maneuver here with bishop d8 and bishop b6. We actually appreciated a lot that black realized that the bishop on f6 is indeed attacking b2, which is holding the rook on b1 on a passive square, but actually this maneuver is bringing the bishop to a better diagonal, and you can afford to do this because the game is slow paced, there are no threats, so you can afford to maneuver like this. And here black played almost a perfect game, and I think we had also a direct blow around here. Okay, exchange of bishops, so it wasn't that clear. But at some point it felt that black just got winning just all of a sudden. I can't remember exactly what happened, but slowly improving. Okay, and this is decisive that she got the passed pawn on the e file. So you could see the game went on for a long time, and eventually black won a pawn and managed to win this endgame. But yeah, we selected this game especially to highlight this move 18 decision, and also the way that the endgame development went. I mean, white didn't really have a clear plan, while black kept improving step by step, and eventually she won the game. And we also have another game from Saturday. It was board number 1. And
before that, we do have a comment on YouTube from Emil Husseinov to loop into girls under 14 first board. It's going to be Lala Husseinova, and we're going to do that in just a bit. We're presenting the second good game or best game of the day of yesterday, day number 5, and then we're going to go straight into today's round number 6, and we're going to start with your request. We're going to look at Lala Huseinova's position.
Okay, so we'll just quickly present this game, and then we jump straight into under 14 category. Okay, let's see this game. It was a Caro-Kann, which, yeah, pretty normal stuff until there, but we just want to jump straight to the critical moment. Okay, f6, this is already when things start to get interesting, because f6 is a direct pawn break, and you may argue that maybe you're weakening the king a bit, but yeah, just f6 works here, and it's actually the best approach to counter the center. Some trades were made, and we actually had a mutual king attack here, and really subtle thing here, transitioning with the knight from f6 to b6, because it feels like you want to attack on the king side, but actually you first need to settle down the situation on the queen side, maneuver the knight, and then the knight can actually go back to the king side easily. And after d4 and e5, it was actually black who started to have the advantage, more space, and actually the pieces were going out with a tempo, like the bishop on g4, attacking the rook. A slight pawn sacrifice here, but it was worth the development lead. Just to point out, there is a rook on pre, but unfortunately you cannot take it because queen on h5 would just deliver a checkmate on h7, so black couldn't defend from that. But the knight enters the game via c4, and bishop h4, really nice move, because you're both attacking f2 and closing down this h file, where some problems could have happened against your king. So it's a dual move. You're also protecting the king and at the same time attacking your opponent's king. And from here on, black's coordination was just superior. And yeah, I believe we saw some queen sacrifices as well by white in the hope of defending here a really beautiful,
strong move.
Yeah, intermezzo. You cannot really capture your queen because this h4 queen is still under attack, but bishop h3, beautiful intermezzo. If you get the queen, then the rook will come to f1 and we'll have a checkmate. So after these tactics, black was just winning, but we chose this game because we saw good coordination by black. The opening was normal. Black was hoping to fight for equality. After f6, she managed to fight in the center, but after that, the way the pieces were moving around this knight, jumped from f6 to b6 and then reached e3, the way she both defended and attacked the king, we thought that this game had everything. And from this point on, it was just a trivial conversion. Even though there's a rook and two pieces for a queen, your king situation is not stable, and we know that when the queens are still on the board, attacking the king is a decisive strategy. And okay, these are the games we chose for today. There were really combative games. It was all for the attack, and we had a look at the other games. They were more slow, more strategic. Yeah, amazing chess, but we just want to highlight the most tactical of the games.
I think this is also because we're doing tactics every day now, and we wanted to present you something more spectacular, because tactics implies a bit of a show, but also
a bit, yeah,
exactly, but also good concentration and capacity to calculate. And this is something that we're trying for ourselves, and by ourselves I mean a lot myself, because I'm trying to go back in the game by doing a lot of tactics. And again, I think it's interesting for you guys at home as well to see some more out of the ordinary type of positions.
Yeah, and especially the way tactics and strategy intertwine, because first, in order to deliver a winning tactic, you need to have a strategic point that you work around. For the previous game, we saw the knight was maneuvering, the pieces were slowly improving, and after that the tactical blow happened. And we know, I remember this quote, I don't know exactly who said it, but tactics flow from a superior strategic position. So just once you build small strategic advantages like the space, like a better piece, maybe your opponent has double pawns or a weak king, once all of this adds up, the pinnacle of this, the end is in a tactic. So that's why I insist so much for tactics. That's why we train every day, because even with the best strategy, unless you have the final tactic, you cannot really take the game into a decisive place. Okay, enough about what happened on Saturday. I think we can jump straight into today's action. Should we go with the request?
I would go with the request, and we are talking about board number 1, girls under 14. We have playing with white Lala Huseinova, playing against Alexia Iordache. It's a very interesting game. Both players 4.5 points, and they're quite close in the rating as well.
Yeah, at this stage we're talking about the first two or top 3 in their age category, so we're already hearing the medals jiggling, as Gavi was saying in the interview he gave us on Friday. So this is decisive, so let's jump straight into the game. It was a Najdorf. White went for, okay, actually a classical Sicilian, pardon me. I always confuse this stuff, but just to point out so the viewers don't make the same thing. A6 is Najdorf and knight c6 is classical Sicilian. Now everybody knows it. F3, e5, okay, the start of the English attack. Queen d2, oh, and d5. Okay, this is already a critical moment, move number 10. Because, okay, from my retired FIDE master memory, d5 is not supposed to work here. It's supposed to, you're supposed to choose between short castle and the h5 idea. It's h5 where you stop g4. h5 might seem weird, but it's mainline theory. You stop g4 and then you build your attack on the queen side. So it's either h5 or short castle, but d5 might be the move. From what I remember, you can trade everything and jump with the knight on c5 with a superior endgame. But at the same time, I might be mistaken and black could be actually comfortable. So we're already seeing a queen trade, move number 13. We are not losing the hope of amazing tactics, even off with the queens off. There's still action happening, but well, let's have a look. This is actually interesting. It's not symmetrical. There are the same minor pieces on the board, but the pawn structure is slightly different. We can see, let's see it from white's perspective. We see 3 against 2 on the queen side, which we know it's sort of easier to roll down the board. It's easier in 3 against 2 situations with the pawns on the same side to get a passed pawn, and 4 against 3 situation on the king side. But we're hoping that this e5 pawn can jump to e4 after f5, of course, and transform itself into a passed pawn, because that's what we're talking here about. It's all about the passed pawns in this kind of pawn structures, who gets a passed pawn quicker. And in terms of activity of the pieces, let's have a look. This bishop on d5 looks amazing, but I don't think it's such a stable square. I can already hit it with c4 and you have to roll back. And I'm worried about my bishop on f1. Okay, not really worried. He's gonna be fine. b5 maybe?
Bring him in the game on b5 at least for now.
Maybe what do we
d3,
think?
No, d3, pointing to f.
d3, I can always just push g6 and control this square. But if we're talking about trades, because maybe we can, okay, c3. Interesting. And the opportunity to take on b3, and we'll talk about this decision just now, but maybe today we can focus more on the topic of trades. When you're thinking about the position, you can imagine which pieces being off the board can actually improve your position. And I would feel that in this kind of situation where it's almost symmetrical, any kind of bishop against the knight situation, or a trade of a bishop for a knight, would benefit the player with the bishop pair, because we are in a slightly open position. So as you mentioned, a move like bishop b5, who seems natural development square, after a6 and you exchange this, leaving your opponent with the bishop pair, well, I think it's decisive. I think it's close to theoretical advantage. Okay, the knight is still active. You can jump to a5, c4, b6. There are some weak squares in black's camp, but I think the bishop pair will decide this, even if it sounds a bit too general. But let's say if you take on b3 here, I think you're just lost as black. After just a tiny trade, it feels like no tactics happen, you didn't lose material, but once I get my bishop to the long diagonal, I'll control everything. So
how would you play it for white in this position?
Okay, white just played c3, which maybe was playing against some knight b4 threats, but I don't. The d. Okay, knight b4 is a tactic, because I'm attacking a2. If you go a3, then maybe I can go knight a2. Some d1 rook is hanging, maybe, but probably not. Actually, knight before a3, take on b3, take, and there's no tactic that I see. So okay, maybe just go back to the knight on d5. So there was no threat of knight b4, but if you just go c3, you're controlling d4 and b4, of course. But how I would play here with white.
What would you do with your bishop in
I would just keep it on f1. There is this concept that actually I need to shout out the great Romanian coach, international master Mircea Pavlov. He was doing, maybe you had him in junior camps as well. He was telling us a lot of great strategies about the game. He's really knowledgeable, one of the best coaches in Romanian history. But I remember this lesson where he was telling us about the bishop who is developed in the initial square. It was kind of a paradox because you don't move your bishop, but it's still kind of the best square available because, okay, here you can move it to e2 and it's a slight improvement, but there are situations in some Sicilians where you just stick on f1 and you just trade it on a knight on c4, or it jumps into the game at the right moment. So it's not really that kind of situation, but I really wanted to point out this concept of a bishop that's developed on the initial square. So slow play would be my thing here, just bishop e2, a double on the d file, but what I have to point out is this square on c5, because this is what I remember, and it's also a consequence of black playing d5 and leaving this c5 square sort of unguarded. So I would try to jump on c5, not with a bishop, probably with a knight, and I would try to work my way around that square. So knight c5 is kind of threatening c4 as well because the bishop cannot roll back. So I think my move here would have been knight c5 unless there are some tactics there with the bishop a2 or knight b4. So I would have had to calculate, but this is the pattern that I remember. You just jump with the knight on c5. Okay, not even here. This is still not that dangerous. I can castle queenside for black, but knight c5 at some point. I think it's the way to take advantage of the downsides of this d5 move, because d5 has a lot of upsides. You traded your weakness, but on the downside you're leaving this c5 square. Even if it sounds like not such a big deal, jumping on c5 would make this knight happier and might generate some interesting tactical opportunities.
Would you be more comfortable playing white or black in this position?
Okay, my experience is with black because I'm a Sicilian player and I've faced this pawn structure before, and it feels like whenever you're hitting d5 with black, you're equalizing and it feels like you're getting an equal endgame. But I would be more comfortable with white here because, as I remember, d5 is not the main move, and a lot of times if it's not the main move, then it has to be, there's something needs to be wrong with it, or there is something that white can take advantage of. So you have c3 and g6, and I think we can sort of leave this game for a while. Just a final note, this is going to be a position where it's going to be about the strength of play, the pure understanding of the players. There's no particular concepts here, no attacks, no calculation needed. It's just about symmetry and, okay, the best player will win. So this kind of scenario, it's definitely going to be the player who wins. She might be the contestant for a gold medal, unless it's a draw, which is probably the most
likely.
The most likely result. There are still pieces on the board, so actually I'm interested to get back to this game. It's not been even 1 hour, and
do we have images?
Yeah, we have
we
images.
have images
Oh,
on
that's
the
good.
screen.
That's good.
That's great because we received this request.
Okay, I
online.
can interpret the.
Exactly.
Let's do this.
Because you got really good at this. So what can you tell us from the body language of the players?
Black is in opening theory. White was surprised. Definitely, it feels like maybe I'm biased because that's the way I'm thinking, but it feels like White knows that d5 is not the best move, but she can't really figure out the way to punish Black. So unless there was something concrete, Black can get away with it. And actually, I was telling this to my students today as well. When your opponent is making a mistake in the opening, unless you punish it, then that move becomes decent, becomes a good move, because only sort of the punishment makes that mistake show on the board. I don't know if what I said made sense, but this is a concept that I was facing a lot even as a player. So if White doesn't find the sort of way to the advantage, Black is totally fine. So actually it's cool strategy by Alexia here. Going for this line, hoping that White doesn't really memorize a way to clear advantage, and having a comfortable game. And it feels like she is better prepared because of the time. So White has spent 30 minutes and Black has spent 1 minute.
Interesting.
So
Very
for
interesting.
Alexia's fans, she is in a slightly better situation right now. She just needs to keep it calm and not sort of get too excited, because the advantage on the board is not there yet.
No.
You just need to wait for your opponent to sleep. But okay, what do we have? Bishop d3, your move. Bishop d3.
And it's, it's what we call the very playable position, but it's very interesting to have them correlated with what's going on inside the hall as well, because we might get the bigger picture or a better understanding.
Okay. Do you like bishop? I don't like bishop.
In this position,
I
not
think
really.
It's not going to f5 as you said, and it feels like you're just running into f5, e4. Unless there is some idea, okay, maybe you can meet f5 with pawn to g4. Maybe that's sort of the concept behind it, so you start breaking these pawns, but no, g4 is just not working, sorry. Apologize for this, there's bishop f3. Sorry, the miscalculations happen. But bishop d3, probably just going bishop c2. Yeah, so what I miscalculated was saying f5, saying g4 is a thematic pawn break, but okay.
Maybe pushing for f4, f5 at some point. Maybe that would be the plan, because it's hard for me to, I mean, at this stage, maybe it's just a developmental move.
Yeah, it feels like that kind of generic move. I said, okay, let's get the bishop out.
So that we can get the rooks, the rook in
the rook on
h1
e1 and play like normal chess. And f5. Okay, I think Alexa is definitely more comfortable in this position. From time management, from body language, and from what's happening on the board, it feels like she's getting the trend is working for her. Yeah, interesting. Actually,
let's see how things are going to progress. We're going to come back to this game in a bit, because again, we still need to look at what the other players are doing. We're going to start with the under 8 category.
We're going to under 8, okay.
We're going to go to the first couple of tables. We're going to take a break after that, and then we're coming back with the usual show and progressing through the categories. As a disclaimer, as we're doing now as well, if you want to see someone, a specific game, a particular game from the live boards, please let us know, and we're going to take every request into consideration and show you guys that particular game and comment on it for sure.
As we did with the previous comment, which was a request for under 8, 14, board 1. Okay, girls under 8, board 1. Let's see what's happened. It's Victoria Rizenkova against Daria.
That's in the board number 2.
Board number 2, okay. Let's
Ahmadi Meriban against Sara
Saltushishvili, probably from Georgia.
She is from Georgia.
More like, yeah, that's kind of. Okay. Now, I'm really familiar with this line, so I was just taking a moment to remember what the theory is, but this is absolutely main line, so we just skip through. Okay, h4 is not really main, but one of the best move, h4, h5, queen d3, okay. Oh, sorry.
I like hearing myself, but
okay, sorry, some
it's okay.
Some technical stuff.
It's part of the game.
So h6. Wow, this is one of my favorite kind of variations, where you're getting, I think, a pawn with white. You're getting a full pawn, but your king is in the middle. This h pawn is just rolling down the board. There's a lot of interesting ways of dealing with this. There's this knight f5, sometimes you sacrifice it on e3, this other knight jumps to d4, the bishop jumps on c6. So it's actually a game where you can see every kind of thing happening. And we just need to point out the truth about the situation is that white is still in opening preparation. And
might be. It looks like it.
Judging from the time management, it's like 1 hour 28 for white and 1 hour and 2 minutes for black. So having this position on the board and being still in theory, it's an amazing feeling. But we had a lot of situations in our careers, and we've seen this as well. Even though your opening preparation went perfect, I think we can see both games here. We can draw a parallel. In the last game, Alexia's opening preparation went perfect. Here, it's Meriban whose opening preparation is flowing. You still need to play your game. There still needs to be some sort of human touch to your game. You cannot just memorize everything. So it's oftentimes in these moments, once the theory is gone, you cannot remember exactly what's the best move, and you start thinking. That's where the critical moment appears in the game. But for now, it feels like Meriban is just moving the best options according to her opening preparation, and Sara is trying to fight back. Is this move h4? That's not that common. Usually they roll back with the queen on d3, and then it's d4, knight d4, and all these kind of lines. But yeah, this is actually a cool game. So we are getting interesting games, and the level of opening preparation, it's like move 15, and the other game as well, already 15, 20 moves deep of
Really
opening
high.
preparation. So
I'm really impressed.
this is where the highest level of chess can be shown, and yeah, of course we can talk about this more after our short break. Is it gonna be now?
Yes, let's
Yeah,
do
okay.
it now, and then we're going to come back with the next two boards from girls under 8, and then definitely we're going to progress through the other categories as well. So see you in just a second.
2, 10, 4, 5. Welcome back here in the studio. I'm still FIDE Master Călin Gheorghiu, joined by the amazing women FIDE Master Maria Ursente. Thanks for being here with us. We're in Mamaia, is the European Youth Chess Championship. You can follow the action on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. This is all the Romanian Chess Federation channels we're talking about. And let's go straight back to the chess because we are living here with an amazing game. The pawn was on h6 right before the break, but now you can see it's on h7 actually. A couple of moves have been made, and yeah, hopefully the board works as well. Hopefully.
Again, we're talking about girls under 8. This is board number 1. The derby between Ahmadi Meriban and Sara. You need to help me out with this.
Sarturashvili. Okay, just let's fix the board. If Julian is here with us, the board needs to move around a bit, and yeah, unless it doesn't move, we can just talk about what we can see on the screen right now. It's us, so it's still us once the situation is solved, so we can move the pieces around. Okay, we were talking during the break about the level of preparation that has reached a new level, a higher level, and we need to tell people at home, maybe it's not that clear to everyone, that these kids playing, it's not them alone. They have amazing teams behind it. They have coaches, parents, maybe training partners and so on that are actually supporting them in the opening preparation. So oftentimes you're not seeing just a 10-year-old making the moves, you're also seeing a preparation of maybe a grandmaster coach or international master that is helping them with the opening preparation. And a lot of times these youth chess championships are providing with amazing opening novelties and ideas. So it's not just what you can see, it's behind the scenes. You can actually find out more about the story of the games.
But something that we were discussing during the other days as well, you're still alone at the board. Once you enter the room, definitely you are preparing with all the coaches, you're playing a lot as well. You have maybe a great team, as you were suggesting and saying, but in the end, you're still alone at the board once you enter the room.
Have any stories with the opening preparation? Because I have a lot.
Ooh, yes.
Maybe
one of my favorite ones is, I'll just go with the bad ones or the embarrassing ones.
They are the most fun. Yeah.
Exactly. So I remember when I was, I think, playing under 10.
Okay.
My coach was suggesting a novelty, playing a surprise. This is something that was popular back then as well.
Just surprise your opponent.
Surprise your opponent as one of the best strategies. So we were spending back then maybe 3 to 4 hours that morning preparing before the game, preparing something new. A surprise, and I was surprised.
You were surprised as
well because it was
different colors.
Move number 3, and I managed to forget the variation.
What was it? Or you can't remember?
I can't
Some
recall.
English?
No, it was definitely not some English. But it was a surprise, and obviously I was very surprised as well. And my coach was
disappointed.
Terrified.
How was the speech after that? After all his work went away after move 3, what did he show his feelings, or he was just still diplomatic and say, okay, Maria?
We're all humans, and we had a great connection. We got along really well. So in that context, I might say that some emotions slipped through the cracks.
Okay.
So we were definitely not having a business meeting.
It
was more human than that, let's say. There were a lot of emotions on both ends. As far as I can recall, I lost that game. So there was some crying involved as well. But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
From that game. Definitely that you can surprise yourself as well while you're surprising your opponent, which is, always a good thing.
Yeah, we have in our team at Pioni Regele, we have Sabarez Julian. He's the most creative player, and he's never afraid of opening surprise. He's so confident in his creative abilities that he's saying, whenever my opponent surprises me, I know I can always surprise back, because he finds his way around the pieces, not always sacrificing, but having this creative way of tangling all up or untangling the positions. It was so funny to watch him have this confidence, and he's never afraid of an opening preparation going wrong or right. He's just enjoying chess, and such a cool vibe to this guy.
I think it's important to learn that surprises can be good as well.
Yeah, and you have to expect the unexpected, actually, because here, as I said previously, I'm coaching the kids. There's 5 players that I'm coaching every day, and once or twice we got it right with the opening preparation. A lot of times it's just that you get surprised and you have to make the moves on your own. But actually the preparation can be reused. So we had a situation when on day 2 we prepared the line. It didn't happen on the board. We were saying on the live stream, oh, we got surprised at move 5. But then two days later we can actually use that as well. It happened. So that's a really good strategy, and you just keep it in your opening files and it jumps back maybe later in the same tournament. So it's
That's very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to have more stories in regards to openings. Probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Should we move to board number 2 of girls under 8? We have a national derby here, a national Ukrainian derby on board number 2, and then on board number 3 we're going to have a national Romanian derby. So very interesting to watch. On board number 2 we have Victoria Rizenkova playing against Daria Kravchuk with black.
Okay, I was just jumping through the moves. Okay, knight c6 is really here a good idea, because you're bringing another pawn to the center, but maybe that was part of the preparation. Let's just, okay, first imbalance, bishop is out, double pawns, typical stuff, and a pawn just dropped. So drawbacks to this move is this h6 g5 pushes. You had to do that in order to win this pawn, otherwise your knight is just pinned. And also, okay, you just lose your pawn back, so this speech was useless. But it feels like this whole strategy just backfired. I was just thinking, you do this concession in order to gain a pawn, but not even winning a pawn. I think it's tough. And d5, and this is the position we have on the board. Of course, the bishop is attacked. The normal way of dealing this would be bishop d3. But maybe, okay, bishop h8 is interesting, Maria. What do you think about this move, bishop h8? I was picking up some tricks along this move. Not working, but the point is bishop h8, f6, and then I take on e4. That's the point. By using this pin. So bishop to h8, pawn to f6, I take on e4, you take on c4. Okay, maybe I was thinking to check on g6 then.
And then you take on h8.
And I lose a piece, okay. Yeah. So that's the end of the variation. But just to point out some slight tactic lurking in the air. So if that's not the decision, then it was just about the bishop b3 and bishop d3 diagonals, where it can actually change the whole game. Such a small decision. She chose bishop d3, but just to point out,
that move.
Yeah, this is probably the best approach. But bishop b3 was still good, because you keep an eye on this diagonal. But most likely bishop e6, and you block this diagonal, and this bishop on b3, it's not going to have a bright future. But after bishop d3, oops, I just clicked the wrong button. And after bishop d3, it's better for white. I mean,
of course.
Just to evaluate, we talked about this, but evaluation of position starts with the king safety. So if we're judging king safety, we're thinking about the pawns in front of the king. White has the pawns on the initial squares, while black went a bit adventurous with h6 and g5. So this hints at a weak king, potential attacks, and the queens are still on the board. So if we're working with this reasoning, a normal move would be queen b6. If queen b6 works, it's probably the best attempt, because by logic you're just trying to get rid of the queens. And I was thinking queen b6, maybe you don't have a cool square for the queen. You have to go back to a4.
Yes, which is not a great.
So there's a second side of this story. After queen b6,
you might have bishop d7, threatening maybe c5.
Okay. I was which move after queen b6?
If you move queen a4.
Okay. Just bishop d. Yeah, I think queen a4 bishop d7, or even knight c5 I was thinking, but maybe the knight is okay
Knight c5
here
actually.
to block.
Because now I'm threatening also to take to e4. Bishop takes to e4.
And I think knight c5, and again you're running out of squares.
Yes.
Same problem. Already we can see a repetition.
Knight
So
c5.
queen b6, queen a4, these are all logical. Black wants to trade the queens, white wants to avoid. Knight to c5, same question. Where are you moving your queen? The only square that avoids the trade is d4, and then I can roll back my knight on e4. So we can already see that black can strike back, and we can help out wondering if maybe bishop d3 was maybe missing this detail, because at this moment black is not threatening to take on c4 because the knight is still hanging. So maybe a clever move like rook e1 or rook d1, sort of waiting one tempo and not really deciding which way the bishop goes, could be interesting. Yeah, a lot of nuances, you know.
A lot, definitely. Very interesting to see if black is going to play queen b6.
Queen b6 has to be played because you know the principles. You know when you're under attack, you need to trade as many pieces as you can. Your queen is not doing that much anyway in terms of defending, so queen b6 has to be played. I think it's the only move. But the next part of the story is judging the endgame after queen b6. You can sort of get relieved with black. Okay, I traded queens, but once the queens are off, it's another discussion. I think white is still better. Unless there's material imbalances, no, it's just equal pawns from my counting abilities. So equal pawns, but bishop pair for white. So queen b6, that's the thing with white's position. It's so dominant that even after the queens are off, I can still be better. But the psychological game changes. You're not going to checkmate anymore. And you need to adapt to these changes as well. When you're in the checkmate mindset, you're only looking for decisive tactics, opening up files. But when you're in the endgame scenario, your whole mindset has to change. It's all about eliminating counterplay. And we have c5 on the board. Okay, so she didn't go for this whole idea with the exchanging queens. And okay, c5 is good.
But still, exactly. It's still
tempo
not a bad move.
But I don't think black is in a situation where she can expand actually going c5, and I think it's maybe weakening a bit more position that's already weakened. But anyway, I think this game still has a lot of chess in it. There's a lot of details that should be filled. Even after queen e3, I was thinking rook e7, and then there's some jumps with the knight. Okay, queen e3 normal because you don't go to a4. The only move, unless there were some special moves, but we couldn't see one. And then rook e7 already hitting the bishop, and some knight jumps, some discovered attacks. So it's always fun that you look at the static variables. King is weak, bishop pair, better pawn structure, and you think this is over, but there's always this.
There's always more to it.
There's always dynamics that override the static factors. Because I think it was when Tarash was playing Animzovic, this kind of players, they were just thinking about the static factors. They were transitioning to an endgame, and everybody was happy. But nowadays, these static factors, these small strategic mistakes, let's say, can be compensated with dynamical play, energetic play, and tactics. Which is why I love chess so much, especially in this modern age where there's always things happening. Okay, let's move a bit. Yeah, let's move
board number 3.
With board number 3, where we have Romanian derby. We have Eliza Bădescu against Carla Marchiș. We saw Carla's game actually. It was the first game we saw today. She was winning against the player who's now ranked first in this tournament. So definitely some slight psychological moment for the whole tournament if Carla manages to fight back, forget about what happened in the past, and fight for this game. Currently, I think black won a pawn, so let's just roll with the opening. Okay, it was a Scandinavian defense. A lot of people are taking Scandinavian sort of like a meme opening, that it's okay, you get your queen out early, you're disobeying all the chess rules, but actually there's more to Scandinavian than just moving your queen around. You're getting a solid pawn structure with black. You're getting the bishop on c8 out, which is actually an important detail in this kind of positions. And it's actually, once the opening has ended, which is right here, it's just a slight space advantage for white, and that's it. Unless white can just convert this into something more, then it's just space advantage that we know how to work with it. Just trade pieces, and usually the end games are balanced. Okay, cool decision. So white sacrificed the pawn, going queen f3, straight for the sort of king side maneuvering. And here we see some geometry happening. The rook and the queen are on the same file, and I think it's tactics time. Maria, what are your suggestions here to take advantage of this file, of this sort of tension that's lurking in here? I already have some moves, so I'm curious to see what are
White playing for the win.
White playing for this thing happening with this tension on the c file. How can you work around that? And what do you think is the best move here?
A lot of pressure. A lot
of pressure. Just throw some candidate moves, and we can work the calculation together. I'm not as fresh with calculation as well, so it's okay. Maybe I'm hinting at the first move. Knight to b5 could be.
I was looking at it as well.
Knight to b5, you take, bishop takes e6.
Yes.
I'm attacking your queen. If you
And your
move, I'm picking up f5. And let's say that's
might
part
be the
one.
best. Yes, might be the best one. I was looking at what black could play. Maybe queen to b8.
You cannot do that because I can just, so knight b5, queen b8, I pick up the bishop, you take, and now discover the attack. Just go to g6, I pick up an exchange, or even f7 better, and I pick up an exchange. So already knight b5, you're kind of forced to take, and if I take, then discover the attack, and now it's the critical point where you can decide to give up the queen for a rook and two pieces. So you take with the bishop, I take on c7, and I take with the bishop on c7.
I'm curious to see how.
I think it just fails to.
What the engine would say about the position.
We don't have the engine. So
but
we are the engine right now. So my 2300 engine is saying that this works for white based on this. So knight b5, if the audience wants to. cb5, bishop e6, bishop e6, rook c7, bishop c7, knight takes d7. And okay, you take with the rook, and take on c7 takes with the rook. Okay, so this is holding on. In my visualization, the queen was on g3, and I was hitting c7 twice. So the engine is updating. So it feels like black is holding on. Sorry for the miscalculation, but this happens. Okay, tough decision. Tough decision. You can start with bishop e6 as well. This is always tricky with these kind of things, that you can change the move orders. Especially when you're doing tactics, there's often two moves you have to choose between. But I think bishop e6 is inferior.
But it would be more or less the same, even maybe worse for white.
Yeah, I think it's worse. There's always some knight e5s, bishop e5s, intermediates. So, okay, knight b5 probably best. Take on e6. If you move your queen, there's no brilliant square where you can do that with attacking additional pieces. So if you move your queen, I take on f5. I would say.
But then I take on. Oh no, I actually.
Okay, you can do queen b8, bishop f5, and you can take on e5. But actually, I can recapture because the rook is protecting.
You know, in these situations, obviously it doesn't work right now. But with this structure, at some point there's always the take on f7 as well.
Yeah.
Which
might work.
It's strong. Not in this scenario, but generally in this type of structure, it's quite common.
You
It's
can
a quite
go
common tactic.
Knight f7. If you take with the rook, bishop d6, queen d6, and a move like g4. It's sort of
not
forced.
now. So
it's
yeah,
sort
it
of
doesn't
forced.
work now.
But it's valid. I mean, it's still, the line still goes on. If bishop g6, then rook e6. So white is only 33 minutes left. So she's trying to figure out all this by calculation. We're talking about girls under 8. So this is the sort of youngest category, the most inexperienced players, and having this position, I think it's difficult. And at this stage as well, playing for board number three, playing against maybe your rival in
or your friend as well. I mean,
or
they're
your
both
friend,
from the same country. I'm sure they played against maybe each other during national competitions as well. So it's quite interesting to see the dynamic. And always when playing with someone that you have played before, this comes into play as well. So
Yeah,
let's say you have 3 losses against a certain player. It is a psychological factor that we need to take into consideration, especially at a young age.
The history between the players.
history,
Yeah.
exactly. Let's.
Okay, we're leaving this
spice
category.
things up.
because there's many other great games to be seen. Boys
In the
under eight?
meantime, we do have a YouTube comment. Alex Tegario says hi.
Oh, hello,
We're saying
hello.
hi back.
My boss at the Piani Rachel.
We're so happy
Thank
to
you
see
for,
you even
watching this.
virtually. And we hope to see you again soon live. And then we have a request
Okay.
to look at Suvir Mali under 16. I couldn't
Let's
really
go.
find the game, but
Not finding the game? Okay.
we
Sunir,
are on it.
can you
Suvir
repeat?
Mali.
Sunir Mali.
Suvir.
Suvir, okay.
Suvir
Girls
Mali.
or boys?
We're not sure. But I'm
Okay,
looking.
unless it's live, we cannot guess the moves because chess is
So exactly.
infinite.
So all the games that we can present and we can show you
Yeah,
are
I don't
from the
find
live
this.
boards.
I don't find Suvir so far. So maybe later some we can see the names, but so far it feels like there's no live board for
No live
this
board.
request. So yeah, we just ask you for the request to be on live board so we can watch the games. Okay, let's go to boys under 8 where we have Artem Kucher against Andrea Yakala for first board, I believe, or at least that's what
I am so on it.
that's what the board
She
is
said.
telling me.
That's what she said. So
Okay,
exactly.
that's a joke.
On board number 1, Artem Kucher, yes, coming
Okay,
from
okay.
Ukraine against Jakaya Andrea.
The Alapin is here with us
Oof.
today as well. Every day we have an Alapin, and this knight a3 might look weird, but okay, it's opening theory and not that many things to be said. a3 recapture with the knight. Ooh, a lot of trades, a lot of trades. Okay, you think players are trying to avoid complications and go for safer approaches? We've seen this in open tournaments as well. Maybe we're more experienced with open tournaments because it's more often that we play this kind of stuff, where people are trying to settle down a bit, maybe trade a bunch of pieces.
Not my favorite positions, definitely. I
Okay,
prefer
not your
more
favorite. Dynamical, where
dynamical, more tactic opportunities.
okay, that's true. But sometimes, if you do tactics every game, you get tired. I mean, just it is what it is. You cannot calculate every game the same. So sometimes you need to settle down a bit and play for an end game. And in this situation, I think it's not that we are going towards a draw. I think it's just the pawn structure that's better for white because you can hit these pawns with a4. And
But you know, it depends a lot on the preparation as well, because as you might remember when we were junior players, maybe now as well. Yes, but our coach used to say, okay, maybe this player is not that good in endgames, so do
Go for
everything you
endgames,
can.
yeah, okay.
Do everything you can to get in an endgame. So I would focus maybe my opening on that, and I would
Okay.
be very aware during the game, okay, I need to trade.
okay, I think that's kind of a myth actually, because a lot of coaches are saying, okay, this player is not good in an endgame, but maybe not that experienced, or he's playing more on the attacking side. But I think chess players are generally good in calculation at this stage. So it might be deceiving to have this kind of strategy. Okay, any kind of endgame I'm going for, it's going to be better.
course.
But I think in this scenario, it feels like white made their homework with bishop f3, trying to trade this light square bishop, because oftentimes this bishop is holding on the whole queen side with these pawns on a6, b5, because that's the difference in pawn structure. Again, 4 against 3 on the king side, 3 against 2 on the queen side. But the thing is, a6 and b5 are pushed. You can easily attack them with a4, and it's oftentimes this bishop on b7 that is the only piece that's actually defending these pawns. And after knight d5, black is deflecting the trade, and we're probably going to see a4. I mean, a4 has to be played, and I'm wondering if already some tactical problems after a4 actually, because if you take, then c4 is attacking the knight that it's pinned. It cannot leave because I'm taking the bishop. So from afar, I don't see a move after a4. Maybe just bishop c5. That's maybe concretely solving this problem. But I can fight back with knight b3, maybe. So okay, a4, definitely the critical move. You want to hit the pawns, and again, bishop on c1. There's no need to move it right now. It's doing the best on the initial squares. Drawback being that the rooks are not connected, but you're not fighting for any file just right now. So keep the bishop on c1 and go if a4 is the optimal strategy. And yeah, it feels slightly better for white.
Slightly better, yeah, exactly. From our stand, exactly the same. Let's see how things are progressing. Board number 2. There's still a lot of games that we want to be covering today. We have Luca Protopopescu, favorite number 3 in this competition, playing white against Bilic Mihailo from Slovenia.
Okay, and we have the Scotch, actually, which is
A classic.
yeah, it's a classic, but not that common. We've seen a lot of Rui Lopez, we've seen a lot of Italian, but Scotch Gambit, but the actual Scotch was a bit rare in this tournament because we know the Scotch game is complicated, and this pawn structure after trading on c6, the games are so wild that a lot of people are trying to drift away from the Scotch pawn structures. But in this situation, it's more easy to manage. And yeah, it feels like white is slowly getting the space, and
I hope to see more English as well, but
Yeah.
this didn't happen. We saw only one game so
yeah,
far.
I mean, it's curious because at the highest level, the English has been played so much lately that it's become sort of mainstream, but it didn't really transition to junior play, as we saw from these games. We're just judging by the statistics of this tournament. But yeah, we definitely saw a lot of knight dwarfs. So MVL's influence is big with the juniors. Okay, f6, and we are here, move 23, and I would say white is winning, just clearly winning, even if it seems simple position. But I can already figure out a plan like knight f5, knight d4. I have two amazing squares. My pawns are better. Your knight is okay. Probably f8 would be the square to keep up with e6, and even knight against knight endgames are okay. G3 ultra slow, but still a good
Still
strategy. H4, H5, slowly building up. Berkesh style. This amazing Hungarian player. He's playing like this, and he's just crushing you. But yeah, I think from a strategic standpoint,
White is
look at
clearly
the light
better.
squares. That's the only thing. Let's see when the light square bishop was traded. Okay, it was this moment that big mistake strategically. I mean, maybe it's not that big, but I just want to point out that these knights are just sort of hitting each other. I just wanted to mention the superfluous knights from Dvoretsky's book. Of course, everybody knows it. Because
Now that's a classic.
yeah, that's a classic. A lot of our coaches
We're
were
quoting that a lot, and yes, we started with the famous Dvoretsky's endgames.
But it feels like you need to keep this bishop on 6. Just go bishop d7 and keep an eye on this on these squares. But yeah, maybe it's tough to face this knight on d5. There was knight f5 threat, so just going bishop d7, it's maybe a hard choice. But it's heartbreaking to see these light squares now that are just weak. Okay, queen e7, and yeah, black is ahead on the fight for the e file, that's for sure. So we can give black that, but okay, it's curious to see. I think the evaluation without the engine is probably +2, +3 for white, but
I don't think it's that much.
yeah, that's why I was thinking of like serious advantage for white already.
Maybe +2, +1, something.
We see the engine, it's equal 0-0, but I just was thinking of
This is our engine.
this
We are
kind
the
of-
engine.
Yeah, I'm the engine today, and it's depending on the type of coffee we have. So maybe I was thinking of a scenario where black gives up the queen for 2 rooks. Maybe that's the kind of scenario where you can build a fortress actually. So for example, I do, I don't know, and then you go knight f5 and we trade this. I think this kind of scenario actually works for black because maybe the king is a
Might
bit
be.
weak and I can form some sort of fortress.
But if you
With
can
the-
also manage to keep the e file somehow.
You can get the e-file, but I think I'm okay with trading here with, it's this, I'm putting knight on f5, queen to d3, and slowly, I don't want to play b4 ever. I think b4 would be a bad decision for white because I'm opening up the a-file and I'm not in control of that. So I'll keep b4 for later, but I'll just knight f5, knight d4, and then I'll jump at the right time. It's e6, it's c6, it's b5. And also we need to mention f5 is a mistake because you're giving up this
course.
e5 square. Okay, maybe there are advantages to f5 as well, but the position is so good that you don't want to give any square. So queen e4 offering the queen paid. Would you trade or not? Let's see the real questions. Trading or not trading?
Playing, not calculating, I wouldn't trade. No, I wouldn't trade at this point.
Trade?
I don't think I would.
You still think there's kingside attacking chances? I think I would trade and just go for knight f5 and keep trading. Knight f5 and yeah, I was just, so queen e4, rook e4, knight f5, rook e8 and just king f2. And I'm sort of forcing the matters of rook trading as well. And if you trade the rooks, I believe it's lost for black if you trade the rooks as well.
We might come back and because I'm curious to see how it's going to end. But we have one more board to show you. Under 8 open, Ivanovic Leonid playing against Denislav Ivanov.
Okay, and your wish has been granted with the English.
Finally.
But it seems
It's been a minute.
Like the Slav has
Entered the chat.
Yeah, has entered the chat. It's sort of a transition. Yeah, c4, c6 is
Still. You know, I saw
pure
that
English.
first c4 move. It can be enough for me for now. So
At
let's
least
see what
it's
was played.
on the board. c4, c6. Okay. This queen b3. Oh, surprised not going for c5, but okay. Okay, this is theory. This is d5 takes queen b2. Okay, this is not theory anymore. This is
improv time.
yeah, improv time and real chess being played, and I'm just taking a moment to take in this position. Queen b2 losing a pawn feels like the queen will be threat, but not really. Rook d1 and castling. Wow, such a difficult position. I mean, I would personally have avoided this kind of mess with white. Even castling long here would be enough for stability with me, because I feel king is safe, and then I'm controlling the center. Still the king.
And then I can progress with the d5.
Yeah,
Seems a
but-
bit premature.
Yeah, but this thing is giving black counterplay, and I might be worried it's bad for white. But again, it's a game. It's the game of chess, and usually calculation is the one that is deciding a lot of the matters. We cannot really predict anything. It's just the players figuring out the concrete variations. Here, we're probably thinking of rook d1, rook c1. Rook d1 seems more normal.
More natural.
But you can castle short with black, and you're close to finishing the development, while white is sort of awkward here, knight e2.
92, and then I will try to castle.
Where is your compensation? There's no bishop pair, I mean, it's sort of unfortunate because it's such a good position for white here. And it's oftentimes that players tend to sort of overpress with d5, going for a sort of decisive tactic, discovering attack and opening the center a bit too early. I mean, just one move, finish development, go short castle. Even going knight e2 is better here actually, because you cannot take on b2. I have rook b1 and b7 is hanging. So just a hint of patience with knight e2 was still better than this rushed d5. And yeah, great decision by black to trade and open up this bishop, because this is actually making the difference. The bishop is protecting b1. Unless there was no bishop here, rook b1 would be the move that white was trying to get. But okay, still everything can happen. This is still a game.
Very playable.
Yeah, it's playable, but I would say unnecessary complications for white. And yeah, Leonid Ivanovic, I think we had an interview with his father, if I remember correctly, on Saturday. You can watch that on our channels. They were actually such a nice chess family, and they're here supporting. Really nice. Okay, what happens on the chessboard is one story, but actually seeing the people, talking to them, and realizing they're such nice people here enjoying chess, I think that's heartwarming and
very
wholesome. I think that was
very wholesome. We
had
a great day actually interacting with people here behind the scenes, with the coaches, with the parents, and they were all so, I would say, nice and supportive, understanding and trying to understand more and more about chess, because the majority of the parents are not chess players. Some of them don't even know how to play at all, and they were mentioning that they're just looking sometimes at the live games and they see the bar that we call the thermometer, and they're looking, okay, is it high, is it low, and they have so many emotions just looking at that bar, which is so interesting to see. Let's move on a bit to the next category. Let's go girls under 10 and see how things are progressing.
Okay, apologize for the audience. We were having a great time with the games for the under 8 category, but we need to speed up a bit to see what's happening everywhere. So, okay.
Zoe Veselov,
crazy
first,
opening. Absolutely adventurous. And here we are with the position. I think white is okay. Equal pawns. Equal pawns. White ahead of development, and yeah, king castled on the queen side. I would say white has better development. I was trying to look up for tactics for black, but no tactics. And it feels like Zoe's opening went a bit better. It's not decisive, so the game was roughly balanced, but just a hint of advantage for white. What you can do is kick this knight out with a3, play king b1. This is sort of the typical prophylaxis move here to get away from the c-file, and then you can proceed with your typical pans, either from your choice, e5, g4, g5, push, and it's all about this bishop on b2, and of course the d file, but the bishop on b2 is the main character of this position, and once it gets some good coordination with some other piece, a rook lift, maybe the queen gets on time to attack g7, then the attack will be decisive. But we're still in the opening stage, so okay, this is the position for people watching who are interested in this game. It's still early on, so let's go to board number 2, where we have Ria Arun against Maria Anistorai. Okay, let's see actually from the black perspective to switch things up a bit. We have the Slav, okay, bishop g5. I'm completely out of book here, but let's see what's happening. The queen is out, and we're already having some interesting position from the get-go. Even though it started as an exchange Slav, things have sped up along the way. e4, okay, let's see what's happening. And here we have the position. I would wonder that if this decision is the best, I can just
not taking with the knight.
Yeah, because we're going into an Isolani pawn structure, and we know that trading pieces is better when you're working against the Isolani pawn. And here knight d5 was
would have been the more obvious choice.
From the way we learn chess, knight d5 is the correct move. You've traded a bunch of minor pieces. You can go with the recon c file, keep trading, and the key factor here is that the light square bishop is off. Has been traded with our light square bishop that was finding a hard time in this position to get to a good square. So once the light square is out, there's no checkmate. 9% of times there's no checkmate, so you can take advantage of this strategy. Just take with the knight and work simple strategy, work against the Isolani with the typical pass. So choosing e takes d5 is surprising.
That's a very interesting move, and I'm curious the reasoning maybe behind it.
Maybe I've seen players also saying, okay, I don't like playing against the Isolani, and just this general belief that playing against the Isolani is uncomfortable. But the Isolani pawn structure has many layers to it, and there are situations when actually playing against an Isolani is favorable. There are situations where there's difficult.
I would say that a lot of times. This is at least what you learn early on, that it can be favorable
to play against it or with it. But it's the kind of statement that we said, okay, I'm better with the queen off, or I want to get to an endgame. This kind of general approaches to chess, they just fail to concrete situations.
Sure, context always matters. Context is king.
Context is king, and we also have a king in chess, where we can say about the king here that they're both safe. But yeah, think about the context if you're watching this from an educational standpoint. Just try dropping this kind of stuff. Okay, I don't want to play with the bishops, I like the knights more. Just think of what the context is and work your way with that. But the good things about d5, there are some good things. you're getting this c4 outpost. You're opening up the e-file, which is maybe some trades will happen there. And there's also this bishop f6. You can attack d4, which could have happened with the knight takes d5 as well. But yeah, now there are some concrete problems with this d5 pawn that needs to be solved. So yeah, feels that black made their life a bit harder than it should have been. But time management standpoint, better for black. 1 hour on the clock for black, 30 minutes for white. So at least black gets the time advantage that it's so decisive in these kind of scenarios where the end game will decide the whole game. Okay, we move on to board number 3 against, so we have Bao Nguyen Duan against Lilian Schrimbeck. This is board number 3. Let's see which kind of Caro-Kann we have today. Okay, the h4, c4 lines, the most aggressive approach. And we jump straight to what's happening right now. Queen c7, queen a4. Okay, normal. Probably still in the realm of opening theory, but at the same time they both spent a serious amount of time, so they're out of their preparation. Typical Caro-Kann pawn structure. Okay, not exactly this one with the pawn on c5 and pawn on c4. This got a bit unusual, but the way we got here, it's typical for the Caro-Kann. And it's hard to judge this position. I don't want to say just that it's complicated. I want to say that this knight has to get to h6 and f5. This bishop will be traded. King will probably castle kingside or queenside. They're both, I was thinking probably queenside, but kingside is still a valid option. And in terms of white's play, the ideas are linked to the fact that white is it a pawn up? No, it's equal pawns, but
the math is mathing.
The math is mathing. Okay, no pawn up for white. Apologize for my future PhD math. But the thing is knight b5 and knight d6. That's what I wanted to say. Knight to b5, knight to d6, and these pawns, it felt to me like pawn up. But this c5 and e5, they're just controlling d6 a lot, and you need to solve knight b5, knight d6 problem. And this is actually the scenario where white wanted to get right from here, but going knight b5 here runs into queen a5 check. So you need to roll your knight back. So clearly queen a4 is for this knight b5 move. And the problem with a6, of course, is that knight b5 is still a working move because your rook on a8 is hanging and you cannot capture. So tactics are working in white's favor, but okay. Bishop f3 not working here, takes and takes on e5 with the queen, because bishop c6. I was trying to figure out if there's anything right now for black, but probably queen a5 is the move. I think queen a5 is the move here, because the threat is so strong that you need to address it. You cannot go a6. I was thinking to take e5 just to...
Yeah, I was looking at that.
But it just fails to take.
No, I cannot do that.
And I lose on c6.
c6.
If I go random knight h6, just knight b5. So addressing this is just queen a5 from our engine today, FM.
And then either way, you have the c and e pawns that are quite weak.
You can pick them up. So
exactly.
Endgame it's okay.
Endgame is okay for black, and I would be quite comfortable playing black here. So let's see. Before taking a short break, let's at least go to board number 1, open 10. I think from what we've seen in general, this is one of the only categories where contestant number 1, the favorite number 1, is still playing on board
still
number
dominant?
1.
Okay,
exactly.
Marilark. We've seen this household name.
Exactly, Marilark, 4.5
position.
points. Whoa, okay.
This is unexpected. I mean,
okay.
You think that it's a balanced game, you're giving praise to Mark, but okay, this position is hopeless. Unfortunately, okay, let's roll back a bit. What
just
happened?
a bit to see
Rook G2?
where things got...
Okay, it's bad. It's really bad. When was the queen lost?
Here, somewhere.
Okay, let's roll back more.
Here.
Let's go from the beginning.
Oh.
Just quickly.
Okay, let's do that.
It's a lot, but okay, I am curious. So Tartakova going here. How did usually this formation is so solid for black? Okay, f5. Oh, okay. I think we might see the decisive moment where European champion was created. I think knight f6 is European champion material. If you do this kind of move, I think your understanding of chess is sort of superior. Okay, and then it was just a showdown of a king walk. Okay, knight f6, next level stuff. I mean,
Great. I would call it the move of the day so far.
so far knight f6 is decisive, and it's
Definitely tactics.
yeah, and it's
tactics.
so on point with the fact that these pawns are supposed to protect black, and you're thinking, okay, I'm covered, the pawns are defending, but then knight f6 comes and that's it. Okay,
I really like it.
we're taking a break on this tactical note, and I will see you guys in 10 minutes. Thanks. Okay, we are back here in the studio. I'm FIDE Master Călin Gheorghiu. This is Women FIDE Master Maria Orsente. And we are here at the European Youth Chess Championship. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch to follow the action. And yeah, write us in the comments if you have any questions. Okay, we are leaving you with this game after knight f6. This was a crucial tactic for white, and eventually Mihailo won this game. And we are moving on to board number 2, where we have a Romanian derby with Lucas Rukas against Vladimir Sofronia. And it feels like white played against the Sicilian, but this trade on e6 gave black the double pawns, but the good kind of double pawns. And now, yeah, I feel like black is just cruising to the attack. Yeah, these knights on b1 and d2 are not ideal, but it's full defense mode. You maybe try g4 with white to launch your attack yourself, unless there's any threats right now. Feels like there's no threat, just take on b3 and everything is stable. But yeah, if we roll back a bit just to see what happened in the opening, it was a typical Scheveningen, but it feels okay. This h5 move is key because white rolled back the bishop. There were maybe some tactics with b4, knight e4. So he was trying to roll back, but after h5 it feels like black managed to stop the attack. Okay, bishop f4 is a bit too slow. You go bishop e3, you go bishop f4, you're losing tempos. And yeah, here, so energetic play by black. And yeah, it feels like, yeah, white is not finding the rhythm in this game. Clearly off the rhythm, just trying to trade, okay, and now knight f1. Trying to get knight to e3 and so on. No, we feel like black is better here. And white will fight to defend, but probably might be checkmate scenarios if your bishop gets into the game as well. So okay, that's
Tactics
it.
time.
Tactics time, not really right now, but
not right now,
soon,
but the potential.
Potential to go tactics mode. Okay, let's go board
number 3. We have another Romanian player, Pârvu Răzvan George, playing white against Nicot Valentin, rated number 6, coming from France. What's the position right now?
Okay, the position right now, we need to do the counting, so it's 6 against 5. Okay, so one more for white, one more pawn, it's doubled, but at the same time the h file is opened. We feel like white has the edge, clearly the edge. The knight has a good square on e5. Right now not really working because there's this tension between the knights, and it's decision time. We talked a lot about the trades today, so what do you think? Do you trade on f6 or not? What's your take on this? Strategic standpoint, and also there are some tactics as well lurking in the air.
I think I would, but again, I'm not calculating a lot at this stage. There's the threat on g4 that I think... yeah, what I was thinking is knight f6 takes and then knight g5. But it just fails to rook f2. And then I'm picking up maybe g2 or something. Yeah, okay, so this fails, maybe this is... But I would still take on f6.
Still take, okay, so it's between taking and this knight e3, knight f5 maneuver. Hard to tell.
Hard to tell.
Yeah, I would be tempted to go knight e3.
Knight
it feels
e3
like
it's better.
Both knights working together are slightly better than just one knight because they can support each other. And it's again this kind of scenario where in general principle you can trade. This is good practices to trade when you're material up, but this particular standpoint, it sounds like keeping both knights is better for your piece activities. And yeah, the squares, there's f5, there's e5, there's places for all the knights here in this position, so it's worth keeping both, I would say. Okay, so this is the situation. Răzvan is a pawn up, so clearly better. It's just he needs to figure out the way to navigate this advantage.
And to hold on to
hold on and slowly build. Trading the knight or going away from the trade are both great options. And he decided to trade. And yeah, after recapturing, he can go rook h5, double on the h file. There's still this tactic with knight to g5 at the right moment. So yeah, great position. This bishop is just a spectator right now.
White is still a favorite in this position. Let's switch things up a bit. We're going to progress with the girls under 12 category.
Okay.
We have Shunia Sara, board number 1, playing against Bashirili Sadat. We had some images the previous days with Sara Shunia. And it's an endgame, another endgame.
Yeah, and it's an endgame, and soon maybe we can have some images from the playing hall as well. It's girls under 12, and yeah, endgame, bishop pair from on paper it should be white to win because the bishop pair is superior in this kind of scenarios. You can go a5 and so on. But yeah, I'm curious to see if we have any images from the playing hall as well, because we can tell from their expressions that what is the feeling like. We haven't checked this game yet today, right? So
not yet.
Okay.
But we're soon going to explore more of the atmosphere as well. This is something that we really enjoy. To tie what you see on the board live with also what we see from the hall live, I think this is also quite important, and it tells us a lot about how the game is going.
So basically, to sum up, this is playing for two results. Basically, here it's either white to win, it's either white to win or a draw in the case where you cannot convert the advantage. But the clear plan of going a5, it's hard to stop. Again, this bishop fully spectating the game on the long diagonal, and this knight has no better square. So I would say that just white is winning after a5. I don't know if you can think of maybe any defensive approaches, but a5,
so a5 not
takes, and a6 I can just go bishop b6. And it's the kind of scenario where the right approach is to slowly build, and then the Zugzwang, it's the technique that we use here to just build the position, and at some point there's no move for the knight because you just slowly corner the knight.
I don't think that black can come back from this, but again, we've seen a lot of surprises.
Yeah, we've seen a lot in this tournament, and yeah, we can definitely see a comeback by black here, but
I would be really impressed.
Yeah, it's the kind of position where you can just switch and say, okay, white is winning, let's move on from this.
And let's move on to board number 2. Again, we are girls under 12. We have Kinga Ladamik playing against Zegina Ovgu from Turkey. Both players are having 4 points at this stage. Okay,
different kind of position. So switching to a complex middle game. The queen on a5 is away from the actual action that's happening on the h file. No threats at the moment, nothing direct, but having a rook on h3 hints at possible attacks. So white is trying to slowly transfer the pieces. You would like to go knight e4, but unfortunately just snaps on e4, and you don't want to trade right now, so probably natural approach is to go queen g4. So when we're talking about the king side, we know that white just wants to bring attackers and slowly maybe open up the position even more with f5. f5 right now actually is not a move that you could take out so easily because you're jumping with the bishop on h6, so having a piece closer to the king is huge when we're talking about king side attacks against the king, and everything is so fast paced. So we have images from girls under 12, which is great. Girls under 12, board number 2, it's white to move, and I was wondering if on the queen side black has any counterplay, if there are ways to actually speed up the development on the queen side, but it feels to me that white's position is stable there. There are no breaks. b4 I can just take. If you take on c4, you're not really doing that much by opening up, so a slight head of development for white. It feels like the opening went better for white, just more pieces into the game, and
but this too can change. It's not a decisive advantage yet.
Yeah, of course it can change.
But definitely it will be a bit harder for black to progress.
It can change, and also
maybe b4 is going to be an option at some point.
You need to have counterplay. Even if it's slow counterplay, it's still there. Maybe your rook will get into the game later on. So having even slow counterplay is better than no counterplay. But I'm afraid here for white that she might be thinking that there is a concrete way of dealing with this position right now. She's only 20 minutes left, and this tells us that she keeps thinking about maybe, okay, let's calculate everything, maybe there's a tactic. But the general rule that applies to this situation as well is that there is a tactic when you have a superiority of pieces. Maybe there are more attackers than defenders, basically. That's the math. And if we do the math here, it's just the rook alone that's attacking the h file right now. The bishop is not really contributing, so white just needs to tie their pieces together in order to deliver an attack. And I would think that the key to this position would be this knight on c3, the last knight on the board. All the other knights have gone. So once this knight gets to a place like f6, we know that it's over.
Yes.
But the road is not that easy. So you need to come up with something creative. I cannot think of a way just right now, but probably knight e2, knight g3, knight h5. It's not out of this. It's slow.
It's a bit. I feel
It's
that
slow,
it's a
but
bit slow.
at the same
Maybe there
time,
would be something more.
we were saying that there's not that much counterplay for black. So going knight e2, knight g3, one side of the story is that it's slow, but at the same time, if there's nothing really happening for black, you can do that. You can afford to lose 2 moves in order to get your knight to h5, and then you could say that this is a small win. The bishop on e3 is still going to be active. There's moves like f5, there's this trade lurking in the air, and it can be opened. So it's just about bringing the knight to the right squares, and I would leave the queen for later on, because the queen can jump to h5 at the right moment, or g4, but moving queen g4 right now makes no threat.
Maybe it does if
it
am threatening to take on d6 and then move queen h4.
Okay. So this is actually something good. So
Might be a
queen g4
threat.
having a threat. We would want to go queen h4 right now, but then this bishop will take. So to reply to your logic, I'll just go rook d8, saying, okay, I'll recapture with the rook.
Yeah, but then I would take in c5, maybe.
You take on c5. Okay. Already we can see that this bishop on e3, we were telling that maybe it's not doing much, but.
And then if you take on e5, I then take back with my f pawn, and then I'm opening up the bishop as well. So I am threatening maybe bishop h6. So there might be something.
Good debate. We are thinking takes on e5 takes, and maybe take on d3 in that specific line. So queen g4, rook d8, and yeah, it's white to move still. So
yeah, no,
one more move.
take on d6.
I can still take on d6. So yeah, interesting stuff, and it's still, I think, to summarize this position, is that both players are not coordinating their pieces that well. The pieces are kind of working alone, and it's just going to be a few moves until we see what's really happening. Once some pieces get connected and we can see some cooperation towards some concrete square. For now, there are some loose ends that need to be connected.
Let's move on to board number 3. Asnad Valieva playing against Blanka Egmont from Poland.
Wow, what a pawn structure! This is interesting. I mean, double pawns for both colors, but okay, this has everything.
But equal pawns.
Equal pawns, okay. Thank you for doing the
I did the math.
The math is always helping.
Always mathing.
So interesting to point out this pair of knights against pair of bishops. We've seen this recently in chess, that this debate occurred, because we knew that the bishop pair is always better, but there are some positions where actually the pair of knights is working better against the bishop, and it's just about if the knights can find the squares. But in this position, so many pawns are covering a lot of good squares, like e5 is covered, c5 can be covered by b6, so it feels like the bishops are ahead, definitely. Just maybe this f5, d5 squares can be challenged with the knight on e3, but the knight on f3 right now, not really finding a way to a better square. But I love these debates, because it's usually the bishop pair against the bishop and a knight, and then we know how to deal with it. Maybe you change a bishop and stuff, but two bishops against two knights is something that has recently got more popular, and debating this kind of imbalance is actually interesting. And in terms of king safety, it feels like the black king has castled short on the queen side, because it's so safe right there. And of course, black has a safer king, because white is a few pawns have moved on the queen side. And
we also have images from.
We have images. Okay, this is board number 3.
Board number 3. So how would you describe what you see on screen? Again, because I've seen that you got really invested in body language, and quite good. So what do you think?
Drawing parallels to what I was feeling when I was their age. So it feels like black is more comfortable. It feels like a more relaxed approach. While white feels that, okay, this is a critical moment. If I don't come up with something right now, the trend of the game is against white, because we saw some small strategic advantages, and this can add up to a win later on. So this is the kind of dynamic, and maybe black's body posture tells us that maybe a bit too relaxed. You know, you feel that position is too good, and maybe you relax a bit, because this can happen as well. You get a better position, and then
I also feel, you know, that white's body language is standard,
yeah,
the golden standard for
chess players.
For chess players.
Fully focused, not thinking of.
I'm not sure if it says necessarily anything, because I used to maybe stay in this position when I was relaxed or when I was tense.
Not revealing the information, right?
But I was focused.
Okay, Queen A5, and actually have a concrete threat here, going Bishop A3, getting the exchange. So we feel like A4 is the only way to move.
Which is weakening.
Yeah, B4 not working, unfortunately. I can just capture and then take, and the C1 rook will be lost. So A4 already can be met by Bishop takes A4. So we might see a decisive series of moves right now, and the reason behind is that White has played this Knight F1, disconnecting the rooks, trying to maneuver, and it was this timing switch that Black decided, okay, this is the time to counterattack, let's go on the queen side and open up the files. And I feel like we just mentioned that we need to talk about attackers and defenders, and in this situation it feels like Black's attackers are outnumbering the defenders for White.
Very uncomfortable for White.
Yeah, uncomfortable, and
position.
You can still bring the knight, so it can be also tricky for Black. You decide to sacrifice, but the knight's just 2 moves and they're there for the king. And we know once you set up like knight d2, knight b3, and knight d2, this is a great way of defending the king. The knights are great defenders for the king. So might be the type of decision making where Black has to figure out if this is the right time to sacrifice, or maybe keep building the position with rook c7, rook c6, or these kind of moves, which are probably the best approach. There's no need to rush right now. Okay.
Let's move on to Open 12.
Open 12.
We have on board number 1 Gabriel Gabadadze playing against Marin Feragut Pau. This is one of the players that we kept seeing all throughout the days in the first live boards.
Pau Marin is rating number 4.
Number
right?
4.
Okay, but he was there on the first board, so sort of he is dominating this competition so far for Open under 12. We can see both players. I think Pau Marin was the player who made that sacrifice with rook d7. If we remember, he was nervous, but his calculation was on point. So,
what do you think about his body language? This is something that we discussed previous rounds as well, if you remember.
Yeah, I think he's fully confident. I mean, he's always shown confidence, and I think having the tournament in a situation where you're ranked first and your game has flown so naturally, sacrificing here and there and providing wins, I think he is clearly the favorite, but the position doesn't really hint at that actually. So
he's the favorite. He's playing against a favorite number 43 in this competition, so there's quite a bit of an elo difference between them. Again, something that we mentioned previously in this competition, it's not always that relevant because the level of chess is quite high, so there are a lot of surprises when it comes to sometimes beating favorites.
yeah, and here he set up, okay, this is his trademark movement.
Yes.
He keeps doing this, like, okay, I'm in control, I'm doing everything I can, and it feels like he's reassuring to himself and to the opponent as well that, okay,
it's on the right path.
I'm on the right path, I'm gonna win this. So it's interesting tell that we can have this psychological...
Might be for a lot of reasons, but interesting how we can interpret body language in a lot of ways. Let's...
Do we switch? Or stay with this a bit?
Let's stay a bit. What can you tell us about
Okay, we have this pin.
Black's position, let's say?
We have this pin on the e-file. We cannot move the knight right now because you're losing the rook. This is the first thing that comes to mind. The second thing is that the pawn structure is a bit weird, I would say. White has a good pawn chain, gaining some space, but on the king side we have these double G pawns that are not so common. Probably there was some some exchange where a piece had to be taken on g4, and now the f file is open, which is not so common for this type of structure. Usually the pawn is on f4. But the point is that opening up the f file is helping white in this scenario, because you can jump with the attacks, you can go knight f6, and you can add additional tactics to your arsenal. But again, the main thing I'm worrying about here is this bishop on b7. Yeah, it's funny because you keep seeing this bishop getting in the way of so many games. Just a small bishop on c8, but now on b7 it's not doing anything, and getting it into the game it's gonna be hard. Bishop c8, I just meet it with h3 and so on. So what I would say is that white needs to decide if they want to trade the rooks or not. So this is first decision. I don't know what's the correct actually answer, but apart from that, once the rooks are traded or not, you can move on to another plan, probably g5 with knight f6 to get this square. This is normal because there's a semi-open file on f, and then going knight f6 is typical plan. Or you can work your way around this c2 bishop going h4, h5. So you decide which piece to be the MVP. Do you choose the knight on e4? Then you have to go for this g5, knight f6 idea. Do you choose this battery with the bishop and the queen to work your plan around that? You just go h4, h5. But it feels like this battery is already on place, and just going h4, h5.
h4, h5. It feels quite natural. Again,
it's a good plan.
We have a couple of seconds to calculate generally when we're going through the games, so we might not always get the correct or the best moves or variations. But it feels more natural to go h4, h5.
Look at
You
this
always have
thing.
the-
Look at this thing.
I
So
wanted
Pau
to
is
ask you
behind
about that.
the
Exactly.
opponent. I used to do that as well.
Same here.
I used to do that, like asserting dominance and seeing the position from my opponent's perspective,
Exactly.
trying to come up with tactics. This is old school stuff. This is what our coaches taught as well.
Really?
Yeah, my
I was
coach.
never told that.
Okay. My coach used to tell me that you can go behind your opponent and try to see this from their perspective and try to think of the tactics. And also some slight intimidation. You're invading the personal space. Okay, they're still in the rules and regulations, but it's like getting there, getting in their space, and wow, is this crying or is this fatigue?
I think it's fatigue.
Yeah, I don't
hope
think
it's
you can
fatigue.
cry when you see this bishop on b7 for your opponent. I think it's full concentration. Okay, this is already a sign of a future great player. If you can calculate
Okay.
better with your eyes
He
closed.
seems really emotional.
I don't know if it's crying or okay. This is a tough
Maybe
moment.
he's-
Yeah.
Maybe he's calculating. Hopefully he's
Maybe
fine.
getting the cameras off him would be better,
Yeah.
so we don't invade
Yeah, let's do that.
his personal space too much. So let's go to board number 2.
We have Nemitz Alfred, who's actually rated number 2 in this competition, playing white against Ambartumian Tihran. Interesting to see.
Okay.
2,300 elo.
Really?
White.
White and black 1800, but 4.5 means that hugely underrated. Okay, I think this would be a first normal position, as we call it, because there's no kingside attacks, no tactics. The first kind of
Just strategy.
usual middle game. All the
Usual.
pieces are on the board. They're just a pair of pawns, 2 pairs of pawns, sorry, have been swapped. And okay, let's try to come up with some insights with this position. White has played knight d2. He wants to trade his bishop on b7 because it feels like a great active piece, while the bishop on e2 was doing nothing. This is the first part. In terms of pawn structure, we actually have symmetric pawns, 4 against 4 and 2 against 2. It's just that black's pawns are a bit ahead with b5. This can be a target with a4, or this can be an asset with more maneuvering space with knight b6, knight c4. In terms of weak squares, we have c4, as we said, and also d3. This can be reached or via knight c5, knight d3, or knight b6, knight c4. And the queens are both in kind of unusual places, a7 and b1, sort of attacking from afar, but not really working towards an active plan right now. So the queens still need to find their way into the game, and it just feels that with this last move, knight d2, you're going backwards with white, and it feels like my chance to go forward, because I was reading actually this theory. I won't go into too many details. That chess is a zero-sum game. So once one opponent goes backwards, there needs to be a move that you go forward and sort of compensate the way, unbalance the position, if that makes sense. Sort of. Okay. And and the thing is, after knight d2, probably the correct way to keep this dance around is to go knight c5 or knight b6. It's sort of a pair of moves. You go back, I go forward, and in this dynamic,
it's a tango.
This
is what a tango is.
A kind of a tango with the knights. There's also this opening, the knights tango, and if anybody wants to try it out. But the thing is, black is slightly ahead in terms of the moves and so on.
What about the body language? We have images from
body
from this
language.
board.
Okay, white. White feels a bit bored. That's the kind of first tell. No, maybe
or unbothered.
Unbothered. Okay. Maybe he's at home with this position.
Exactly.
But judging by the time, it feels like it's not the type of thing you want. You reach symmetrical position with white, where feels like black is a tempo up. So in terms of opening success, it's black who has the better side, and that's why he's focused more. It feels like he has the chance right now to maybe push and press. So that's what I could tell from the body language. But okay.
Let's see board number.
Board number 3.
Board number 3, exactly. We have Mihail
okay, this
Alexienko
this
against
ended.
Ahmad Kagan. Okay, Ahmad Kagan is rated number 1.
Okay, Ahmad Kagan
So he actually won. Oh,
lot of
wow.
points. Too many points.
don't
And no
even
king.
need-
Where is the king?
We don't even need to do the math. Okay.
Some slight transmission error because this is not a legal position of chess. But okay, here we can conclude that white resigned, and this is the way to sign all the kings to the result. Okay, but a win for black, so maybe first favorite trying to get back into the rankings and
5 out of 6 points at this stage.
5 out of 6?
5 out of 6, yes.
Okay,
with
so
this
this
win.
is
With this win.
medal contender.
At this stage, yes. Let's see how girls 16, girls are under 14. Sorry.
Can we see Tudor Henry, please?
Yes, let's
It's
do
Tudor
that.
Henry.
It's Tudor Henry.
Yeah, one of the best junior players.
What board is he playing?
Board number 5, I believe.
Board number
But
5.
he's definitely not on the board. He's never at the board. Okay, going this. Okay, bishop f4. Normal theory. Okay, and this is the position for board number 5, open 12. Okay, normal, queen c8, queen b7, but I'm always surprised. So he only has 11 minutes left, and it doesn't feel like there are many decisions to be made. I mean, it felt like, okay, this is the position, this is the typical...
Quite normal opening.
Yeah, this is the plan. It's sort of, you prepare this at home. It's this kind of thing where you end up overthinking, but you need time for critical moments. I mean, we just found out recently that there's no additional time after move 40. We are assured by the arbiters that the time control is just 1 hour 30 and you get 30 seconds. And that's it for the whole game. And if you're spending like
That
an hour
much
for
in the opening,
for a typical plan, okay, we have images, and Harry is one of the most expressive players we have
For sure.
in this whole tournament, actually. I think his expressions were definitely the most diverse, most insightful. Okay, and he's going bishop f6. I mean,
do
objective.
you think he's tense?
I think I don't know about his time trouble, because we've seen some games where he's getting into time trouble, feels like voluntarily. So maybe
Okay.
this is the kind of,
So do you think it was on purpose?
might be, I mean, maybe,
Kind of hard to believe after the opening, or just
maybe that's
during
his
the
habit,
opening.
to just go into time trouble and get full energy from the time trouble, where there's no need to, there's no time to overthink. You just need to come up with the best calculation. And this is a strategy we actually seen being employed at the highest level with players like Grishchuk and Dak. So this is a legit way of signaling to your brain that, okay, please give me your full resources and come up with the best moves. And he's facing now knight e1, which is, again, typical move. I think his opponent is also surprised about his way of spending the time, because okay, this is a normal position, especially for this line, typical moves. Only h4 was out of place, but probably can still figure it out on the board. So knight e1, you probably need to trade. You trade the bishops, and then you'll probably invade on the center with c5 or e5. I think black is better. The only drawback would be his time management, and I think he can navigate that.
Very expressive, and I really enjoy seeing him on
Yeah, I
the
think
screen.
he's one of the most passionate players we've seen in this tournament. I mean, you can tell from his expression that he's living for the game, and
Which is always great to see. Always
Yeah.
great to see. Now let's move
let's
to
move on. Okay, enough to the hand reaction.
to girls under 14. We might be back to this game because it's interesting. Let's see how Lala Husseinova is doing against
Lala
Alexei
Husseinova.
Iordache, and this is because we started
With
today
their game, okay.
with their game because we
Okay.
had a request early on in our transmission. So let's see how the current position is looking like.
Okay, interesting. Let's pick it up where we left off. So we are saying that black is more confident, actually. So h4
At that
was
stage,
yeah.
that was what we were saying. Yes.
h4 bishop g5. Okay, actually this is a good plan. This is a good plan, because if you trade, I'm opening up the h file, and if you don't trade, then this bishop was helping e5 to be defended. So really well employed by Lala, this plan. And then bishop b5. Okay, today this is the thematic thing, the way the players are making their trades. I think this was thematic. Okay, c4, and this is the position, and the calculation is rook e4. What happens after rook e4? And the knight is attacked. And okay, you might be worried about a6 because there's only bishop a4, but for now you can take on e7. So rook e4, knight f5, threatening to fork the rooks. And now probably a move like rook e7 is, oh sorry, no.
A move like rook e7 is bad, you wanted to say, but
Yeah,
a good
exactly.
one would be.
A good one would be probably rook f1 to pin the knight. Sorry, I just wanted to get on the 7th rank, so that's the takeaway. But okay, rook e4, knight f5, just go rook d1. Probably
Rook
that's
d1.
better. So you meet a6 with the bishop d7 and take on f5. And then there's knight d6, and the game keeps going. Knight d6, wow, bishop d7 tactics. A lot of rich in tactics, this position. And you can also think of picking up with the knight. Okay, we have the images from what's happening on the board. There is white is Lala Husseinova, black is Alexei Iordache playing, and they both reached the similar times. And we were saying that Alexia was half an hour ahead in the opening, but after the opening they leveled out, which meant that the position is definitely complex, and she needed time to get accustomed to the details and the complexity. Okay, now
Let's move to,
do we
I
move?
would say,
Okay,
board number 2, because we have a national derby, a Georgian derby,
Georgian derby. Okay,
between Kirtațea Anastasia and Mariam Tsekladze.
okay.
Anastasia is rating number 3 in this competition. She has white.
Did we look at this? Maybe
Not today.
it's a familiar pawn structure.
It is.
We've seen this pawn structure.
We did
but
3 against
not,
2 and 4
not
against
this
3.
game. Okay, good. So knight b6, a bit out of place because there's nowhere to go afterwards. But the point is that white's ahead of development. Black still needs to castle or address this the way they are connecting the rooks. And white is ahead with their typical plan of making a passed pawn. So it's either you take on c4 and you're giving me the c pawn, or I'm taking on b5 and I'll go a4. So you have to decide with black, do I give this c4 pawn as a passer and leave a6 as a weakness, or do I want to make the trade and leave this a pawn? So in the fight for passed pawns, white is ahead. And in terms of pieces, first glance felt like knight on b6 is out of place, but now it's actually used to support the passed pawn. So slightly better for white.
Slightly better.
Slightly better for white, and we have images as well. And yeah, the white player is not even on the board, so maybe
relaxing a bit.
Maybe relaxing, yeah, after the opening,
Which is always a good strategy.
Yeah, you need to
I would
take
do that as well.
some small breaks, as we do here with commentary, but also when you're playing, you need some small breaks because oftentimes the brain, once you make a break, he thinks in the back. I don't know how the brain works, maybe you know better, but in the background, the processes are still going, but you just turn off what's happening on the front, and some creative ways of dealing with the dispositions are actually happening. I actually was working with a sports therapist once, and she was telling me to look at the position from different angles physically, like move around, maybe get better understanding. It didn't help, but I tried it. So don't try this at home.
You did tell us that you were going to see how the position would look from your opponent's view.
Yeah, at least that. You get fresh perspective. Maybe it's not helping you on the front, but the brain, you just give it a bit of a kick, so it gets fresh ideas.
You know, this is a very common concept when we are talking about solving a big problem.
Taking a break?
Or a nap.
Or a nap, yeah, unfortunately.
But taking a break, and I think a lot of people can relate to this thing. You're trying and focusing so hard on a problem, on a situation, and you can't seem maybe to figure out a concrete or the best solution. And then what happens a lot of times, you switch to a different activity, maybe you take a break, maybe you take a nap, and then suddenly
Things
a
click,
lot of people,
yeah.
exactly, it
They
hits
make
them.
sense.
They just said, you know, it hit me. I just got this realization, and I know how to solve this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can solve everything by taking a nap.
It's not
But
a solution to everything, but
to a lot of things, I'm not gonna lie. But taking a break and not overthinking things, giving it a chance to work basically in the background, can be one of the best things that you can do at some point. So sure,
Yeah.
taking a short break even during the game to maintain focus in the long run might seem like a good thing. Let's see what we're doing on board number 3. We have a Sona.
okay, it's kind of over.
Okay.
It's kind of over on board number 3. Kesaria Mdeladze managed to win. Let's just have a snapshot of the last few moves here. Yeah, and it was a Benko where White's queen invaded the queen side, but at the same time ran out of squares. And it's this kind of puzzle rush situations where you just need to find a way to block the queen and trap it. And unfortunately for White, it happened. And after the queen was lost, it's over.
Exactly. The game was
Always
lost.
tricky to play against the Benko gambit. Many of these tactics arise. So yeah, a win for Black here, and she's moving on to, I think, 5 points or something like this. So definitely contending for.
And she's also rated number 5 in this competition.
Okay.
So probably we're going to see her fight for a medal. Now let's switch a bit to Open under 14. We have Benik Agasarov playing the first board with White against Rustarnov.
And they actually made a draw. Interesting.
Which favors Black. He's rated number 41 in this competition. He moves to 5 points out of 6, and I think already this is a great result for these 6 games for Rustarn. So good to see.
Okay, I was just going through the moves, and it feels like White was pushing, but let's see how was the decision made behind this repetition. Okay, he lost a pawn and he decided that repeating is the way to go. Okay, it's understandable. I didn't have the feeling that he could press for more, because in this position, really interesting, he spent almost all his time. He had an hour left here, and he spent close to an hour just to figure out if there is more to this position than a perpetual. So definitely he tried his best to come up with a win. There was no solution found. Getting the draw is normal. You move on. Tomorrow is the next round, and yeah.
Still for 5.5 points for
5.5,
Benik Agasarov, FIDE master from Armenia, rated number 6 in this competition.
He's
So
number
good
1
result.
right now. There's nobody can catch him because
Exactly.
he's 1 point ahead.
Still
Solidifying
leading
the
this
lead,
competition for Open and under 14. Moving on to board number 2, we have Daniel Tabuenca from España.
Espania right with tactics time. Daniel Taboenca took on d7 just right now as we
supuesto,
switch.
sí, señor. Let's see how we're progressing. He's playing against Ernst Luca from France.
Yeah, and it feels for the French fans that the material imbalance is a bit too decisive.
Yeah,
But this last tactic, I think, was
very nice.
was nice. It's typical knight 4.
Typical.
And let's roll back just a bit to see when things went astray. So this is a normal position
I think we have images
from board.
from board number 2 as
Okay,
well.
they're playing. Okay. Let's go with what's happening right now. Okay.
Is there a time crisis? They seem quite stressed.
No, it's normal time
Okay,
for
so normal.
for this stage of the games. It's normal. White has 20 minutes, black has 25 minutes. But yeah, I just empathize with the player with the black pieces, with Luca. Close to lost right now. It feels like there's not that much to fight for. And maybe you're having this inner dialogue, or should I resign? Maybe you're viewing the game again, and it's tough. And Daniel knows he's gonna win it, and he's just taking a breath and enjoying this game, which was a close game. And it's just around move 20 it happened that things switched after this f4 and knight g4. The king is too weak to defend, and he had to trade the queens, but unfortunately for him these knights were too powerful, and with this rook d7 trade transitioning into a winning endgame. So okay.
Good win
Good,
for Daniel. His progress. He would progress to 5 points out of 6, and we have Ernst Luca in the images playing black in this position. I think he knows. That
He knows what's gonna happen, and
there's not much that he can do at this stage.
Okay, let's move on to board number 2. Actually, maybe
Board number 3.
board number 2. No, number 3. Sorry,
Number 3, we have Baptiste Lissor coming from.
Patrick Cislak.
Yes.
Okay, which countries is this? Some French or?
So French playing white against Patrick Cislak from Poland. Patrick is rating number 7 in this competition.
Okay, so board number 3, open 14. If we can get images from that, let's see. Okay, we have images, and this is actually a more balanced position. White decided to push some pawns on the king side, leaving the king a bit exposed. But at the same time, he has good pressure on the e-file. The bishop is covering important squares. And his last move, queen d2, is hinting at the fact that he just wants to grab e6, asking the question, how are you going to handle this tension on e6? Are you going to roll your rook back to c6? Are you going to defend with the queen? Or maybe are you trying to counterattack with something else? Maybe there is a counter tactic in this position, because as you're exposing your king, there can be situations where I can even ignore the threat of rook e6 and go straight for something else, like the pawn on f4 or the pawn on g4. But for now, I think the conservative approach to go queen c6 might be the best for black. And the material count is equal. There's 6 pawns against 6 pawns. Black has more weaknesses, but I think the knight has better prospects in this position. And I would go queen c6 and queen d6, stuff like this, and see what happens next. There's also some little tactics here after queen c6 with things around the d5 square. A move like g5, and if you move your knight, let's say, to d7, you just lose d5 because there is a pin on the e-file. So there's some poison to this move, queen d2, but probably you can meet that with queen c6, g5, and knight e4, where you are trading the knight, which you don't really want, but at least you're getting away from the threats. And yeah, we're saying that maybe there's some counterattack for black to ignore the threat of e6. Maybe he's trying to figure out a way to do that, but it's not so clear. Okay, he made his move. Is it queen c6? He goes queen b6. Okay.
He seems a bit disappointed, or maybe I'm not reading the room right.
Yeah, maybe he was expecting for the advantage to convert to something concrete, because the static elements are in his favor, but he realizes that white still has counterplay. There's still pressure on the e-file, so he realizes that the job is not done yet. It's far from over, so he's taking a moment to switch mindset. Maybe he was thinking, okay, soon there will be a killer blow, but now he's on to a much slower game. So here queen b6 comes with a check. You can block with the queen, but you might lose the f4 pawn, and I can just grab f4 immediately, and you'll just lose the pawn. So you need to move your king. Probably h1 is the safest way. Now e6 is defended, and it's time for black to get creative, to get this knight into the game, and see the way to go. Queen d6 is also an option to go after king h1. Okay, already difficult decisions. So
Yes. How are they doing with time?
with time, it's 30 minutes for white and 15 minutes for black. Okay, he goes king h1, and I'm actually curious to see how things are going. So this is board 3, open 14. We'll stick to this game until the break to see if there's any other moves to be made. Any suggestions here, or maybe some ideas how to bring the knight over? So just to point out the tactic that bishop d5 is in the air at the right moment. Feels like you need to attack f4. It feels like that's the weak spot. So actually either queen d6 or queen c7 are logical approaches. What do we think of queen c7?
Queen c7.
Queen d6 is met by rook e5, and I don't really like this kind of...
We have, I feel that being on 2 pins is
too much.
it's too much.
Yeah, queen
One
d6.
we can do.
One we can deal with.
2,
Yeah.
sure we can.
What
but do we
Maria
want that?
is worried about, so queen d6, rook e5. If you go knight d7, I can just go rook takes d5, and
Exactly.
it's over. From once a stable position, you can just lose everything. So queen d6, there are some tactics hanging in the air. So queen c7, you still get the same rook e5, so you still need to address this this move. But yeah, maybe it's time for this rook to come back, to admit that, okay, maybe it's too much, or maybe white is better, and all of this time.
Maybe now that we're actually trying to calculate and analyze it, we can...
Such an instructive moment, if the audience is here for educational chess, is that you evaluate the position. You think, okay, black is better, and you start looking for moves that are winning for black. But if your evaluation is wrong, if your assumption is wrong that black is better, it's white that needs to come up with this move. So that's why a lot of people are saying that Magnus is the best at evaluating the position, because once you're evaluating the position, you know what to look for. If you're in a worse position, you need to look for good defenses. If you're in a better position, you need to look for moves that increase your advantage. So actually evaluating the position is such an important skill that gives you a clue about what your next move should look like. So on this particular knowledge drop, we can take a short coffee break and be back with this game.
Yes,
and the other
and
sections.
we're going to be back with an answer to a question that we received on Twitch on how Magold Philip is doing.
Okay, we'll check the Magold Philip game right after the break. Hello, we are back here in the studio. I'm FIDE Master Călin Gheorghiu. I'm joined here by the lovely women FIDE Master Maria Olsente. We are in Mamaia, Constanța, Romania. It's 2023 European Youth Chess Championship, and we just need to say a big congratulations and happy birthday to one of our team members here. He's nicknamed The Cousin. He's great with the images that you see in the playing hall. He was doing all the work, so we wish him a happy birthday. We still have one more hour of live commentary. And
together with him as well.
Together with The Cousin.
Happy birthday, cousin.
And we'll celebrate it with some work, and we're going straight into the Girls 16 section. That's where we left it off. And to reply to the request, we had a question about the Magold Philip game. This ended in a draw. We can check it back later, but there's no more action there. So this is where we left off, Girls under 16. We have the game between Agnesa Avatesiana and Clara Școțca, if that's correct. Yeah. Okay.
Board number one.
Board number one, just to give you a snapshot of what's happening. Let's do the pawn counting. This is 6 pawns for white, for black, and 5 for white. Okay. This is the pawn count. And in terms of pieces, okay, we have this superfluous knights on a6 and c7 defending each other, and some attacking ideas for black on the king side. Sorry. The thing is, I was looking at the time situation. Only 40 seconds for black and 20 minutes for white. So big time trouble for black. And there are some prospects here to bring the knight to d5 and maybe get into the game. But right now it feels like white is stable and hard to decide on who's better. A lack of communication between black's pieces. The queen is there on h3. If I'm attacking, let's say if I take on c7 and then I take on a7, it feels like you cannot bring your queen back to defend, but the counter is rook to b2, and now you're entering the second file and the queen actually makes sense. So a lot of decision. White still has time. There's 20 minutes here for white, but the kind of move where you just maybe wait or don't do something decisive is the kind of critical thing here to do usually with the white pieces, because unless there's no tactic for black, the position is kind of not connecting. The pieces are not connecting, and it's a big drawback, because then you cannot do anything where your pieces are disconnected. And I keep thinking about this rook b1 move, this quiet rook b1 move to enter on the b file, because we know chess is logical. The b file has been opened. A good option is to get your rook to b1. So we're just working with the consequences of the last move. B takes c4 opens up the b file. You can go rook b1. You can go rook c1 to pick up the pawn if you want. But
I would go with rook b1 probably in this situation.
Rook b1 feels direct. You're threatening to take on b8 and take on c7. And even though the pawn count, as I was struggling with the beginning, the conclusion was that black is a pawn up. The lack of the coordination between black's pieces is a huge factor that actually white needs to take advantage right now. There's not that much time to play around. If you make a quiet move right now, maybe you miss the chance. So this is the moment for white to actually think and take advantage of something. And
of the time trouble as well, because...
and the time trouble. Of course, if you keep posing problems, then you just don't have the time to find the best move. And she played what? Let's say she played rook d2. Okay, and this is the kind of move that I wouldn't play in this position, because it goes against the principles. And you can
disconnecting your rooks.
Okay, the whole point is that she was working for the tactic we mentioned. We mentioned bishop c7, knight c7, queen a7 with a double attack. The counter was rook b2, and she made a prophylactic move, not the kind of move that you want to make right now, but the position is still dominant for white, that we don't feel like black has anything right now. There are some tricks with c3, and if you take with the queen, maybe knight b5. Okay, rook b6 immediately, because of the time trouble. There wasn't even time to have a look at the position. So,
and that's the thing with time trouble, because white might play against not only the position, yes, but against the time trouble.
Yeah. So I was thinking bishop c7 takes and queen a7, but rook c6 solves the problem. So you can still bring your knight to f4, right? knight to f4, and then maybe things like d5. So tough to calculate concretely, but yeah, white has the time. It feels like should be just winning, and I don't even see a plan for black. Maybe h5, h4, but way too slow. h5, I can just go king h1 and okay, king h1 not working because f1 is hanging, but you get the point. It feels like it's easier to defend. Wow, and look at this idea. Rook f4 at the right time, followed by rook h4.
Yes, I was looking exactly at that. If the rook would have been still on maybe d1. I was looking exactly at that, and then coming with the knight to f4.
So if we connect the dots, then we can do bishop c7, queen a7, and then rook f4. Maybe this is the way to connect these two
ideas.
These two ideas. Rook f4 fails right now because of rook b1 check.
Exactly.
And king f2, just queen h2. So some details to figure out, but the principle here would be to trade the active piece. So a move like rook b2 would do the trick, I think. Just remove black's active piece, which is this rook on b6, and I think the whole position will fall apart. Okay.
Let's see how things are progressing on board number 2. We have Siekanska Maria against Tashkinova Sofia. A derby, I might...
Same country?
Not same country, but quite close in rating.
Okay.
Both players having 4 points. And, okay, interesting position.
Interesting position. Opposite colored bishops. We need to highlight this this main thing. And
same number of pawns.
Same number, thank you. And the thing with opposite colored bishops that we mentioned before is that while attacking, one of your pieces cannot really help you in defense, which is the opponent's bishop. So black is threatening rook c1 right now, which is threatening rook g1 and stuff like bishop f1. And what I was thinking against this idea to just go bishop f6 right now, to keep the option of perpetual check, because it feels to me that white's king is slightly
safer.
Worse. White's king, I feel it's worse because I can bring my pieces. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, this can happen, but I feel like rook c1 is such a big threat. Okay, queen h5.
Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, it's debatable. We have two different viewpoints, and it feels like there's more defenders, but at the same time,
you would have rook c1, which is an actual threat. It's the biggest threat for white.
To come up with the threat. And here already queen a2 is a decision that has to deal with bishop f6, and it's not only perpetual check. There are some troubles there because check on g6, check on f6. I can pick up a6. I can go king g3. So queen a2 is losing actually. And you could say it's such a nice move. I'm picking up a pawn. I'm defending d5. Oh no, this is no time. So actually, your comment on the fact that black's king is weaker is starting to be the correct one, because there are not that many defenders here. It's only the queen that's following from afar what's happening on the position, keeping an eye on g6. Once you lose control of g6, bishop f6 happens, and you drop a6, which is undefended, and so on and so forth. The tactics.
Do you think maybe that she's going to play rook c1 to go for the draw?
Rook c1 going for the draw. You mean this queen e8, queen h5? But there are many aspects to this. I would say queen d5 first is a question that needs to be answered. And if you go with the king on the h file, you cannot go really on f8 because there's bishop c5 and you're losing material. And if you go on h5, then I was wondering if I'm on time with king g3, and the calculation would go like king g3, rook g1, king f4. There is this g5 move, and we notice how powerful this queen on b1 is, covering this diagonal. And once the king gets to f4, g5 is just checkmate. So really close encounter, I would say, really close. So rook c1 might force the draw based on this threat. So really interesting stuff.
Maybe black is going for the win.
Black is going for a win, but first she needs to avoid the perpetual. So a move that would keep the threats alive and still defend d5, I don't see it right now. I mean, queen a2 felt like that kind of move, but you cannot do. The queen is too important on b1. So rolling back with bishop b7 might be some honest concession, saying, okay, the bishop will defend, but then I can go with the rook. There's still the threat of queen e8, queen h5. So looking deeper at the position, we realize that white can easily do perpetual check, and it's black that's having a hard time around.
I think I'm going for the draw.
You're
think
going
it's
with rook c1. I don't think I feel like white has a way to escape after rook c1. So queen d5, king h7, I can check and go back. It feels to me
I
like...
think it's going to be a draw eventually.
Really?
But I might be wrong.
You've seen this kind of scenarios, and it's...
Maybe it's a pattern that I've seen. And I might be wrong.
Okay,
definitely.
I'm actually noticing something with
Okay.
my FIDE master level engine. So queen d5 and sort of going queen f5 to go for the endgame, to sort of force the endgame. And there maybe I have some chances with white. It's a pawn up, and...
So what's your move for black in this position?
Okay, asking the real questions. I actually was thinking rook c1 still works, because queen d5 you can go king h8, and I don't have queen f5. I just have queen f5 when you go to h7. So I was just taking advantage of the full context. Okay, we have a rook c1 on the board from what we can see on the screen.
And it was played.
It's
See, my instinct was right.
fiesta time. Okay, this is chess. Because we talk a lot about openings here, strategy, but this is real chess. I mean, you have to deal with the threats, and you have to calculate and evaluate the situation. And again, we come back to evaluation. If you evaluate this as better for white, you're trying to push. If you evaluate this, okay, black was winning, then you're happy with the draw.
I think white is going for
For
perpetual.
perpetual?
Yeah,
But
queen e8.
It feels...
Again, it's an instinct.
Okay.
I might not say it's the best move.
So king g, yeah, that's so weird that king g3, king f4 felt like a right way, like the safe place, but... Okay, I can force queen trades with check. You have to take on d5 anyway, because you just pick up another pawn, and we get to the same position. But you have to play this. It's just a free pawn, you get back to the same position. So queen d5, king h7 too dangerous, because queen f5 I guess. King h8 check, king e8 check, and queen e4.
Let's see.
And this is the... Okay, queen h7, queen h7, king a7, sorry, is the kind of move you allow white another option. So you're giving additional options to white with queen f5. And I don't think this endgame is so easy to figure out. But we feel it's a draw, but you're giving white away sort of a bailout.
Exactly.
So king h8 was...
and now she has to take a decision.
She can still shuffle around, and
Sure.
but she might not come with the same opportunity with the king on h7 and queen on b1 to connect with queen f5. I would go queen f5. I don't know how to evaluate the endgame, but I feel it's the only way. Otherwise,
I mean, I would go for...
Otherwise,
I would have an extra chance.
And keep playing, keep going, pawn up. On the queen side, I just go b3, and I think I can cover the pawns there, so I'm not worried about that. And yeah, still 17 minutes for white, 3 minutes for black.
Oh, okay, tricky. In this case, I would go with queen f5.
Trying to come up with something brilliant, like a tactic, but that's not... Bishop f6? No, it's just check.
I don't have any pieces in the game.
Yeah, but
not enough.
You can connect. So bishop f6. If you take on f6, then okay, I'm winning with white. I can just pick up f6.
But then I would have king to g3. You say.
Yeah. So
because
bishop f6.
g5 it wouldn't be a threat anymore.
Yeah. Bishop f6, rook g1, king h2, rook h1, king g3, queen g1, king f4, queen f2. And if I had queen f7, then it's checkmate in one. But queen f7 keeps going. Queen h2, and king e4, you have a check with the queen c2, and you can go queen g6. So black's threat is dangerous as well. The typical move here is king g3, but it just doesn't work because of rook g1.
Not at this stage, at least.
But that's the way to typically sort of avoid the check. And
there's two options I would say that at this stage are more realistic: queen to f5 or queen to h5.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go with the draw, just go queen f5, and you can still play for some moves. There's no risk. It's like a risk-free option to go. I wouldn't understand the decision like queen h5 to go for the perpetual right now because
Right,
queen f5,
exactly.
you're not risking anything and you can still keep going.
This is why I'm curious what white is going to
Okay, we can
be
stay
moving.
here.
Just to stay until maybe.
G5 is a move? No, not really.
Oh,
Still,
no.
rook G1 is a threat. Some other options. Queen E4. I think it's a bit awkward to go with that kind of pawn structure. I can just
I think.
I can just take
makes-
and bishop
yeah.
B7. Too awkward, but same idea. Let's
yes, but
doing
on
the end
E5, F5, it makes a whole lot more sense.
So Queen H5, King G8. Nothing there.
Queen E8.
Queen H2. Okay, new stuff. Fresh ideas. Awkward with the Queen on
bit.
H though. Really awkward.
Because I have, for example, Bishop F1, and then I'm blocking my
King G3.
queen, of course, but.
Yeah, but I survived this moment of tension where I'm not
Okay.
getting checkmated, and we can
Okay, I hear
start
you.
it all over, and then ideas and stuff. So okay, we discovered another option of, do I want
hear
to
you.
keep my queen passive? Okay, but I don't think I have a move. Queen H5, King G8, Queen H2, Rook F1 could be tough to meet, and then.
Oh, right.
Once we trade the rooks, it's more obvious that, for not really. Okay, completely clueless at this position. Because I was saying that, okay, we trade rooks and better for black, but actually it's easier for me to go King G3, King F4 and jump around. Wow.
I'm
Curious to
very
see.
invested to
And-
see the next move.
For the people viewing, we don't have an engine, we just have
Our engine.
our
I mean,
engine,
we
which
are
is
the engines.
our chess training.
Which
and-
definitely can be skewed, biased, and not having a lot of time to calculate all the possibilities. But probably this is the beauty of commentating as well.
Yeah, we're still keeping sharp. We're doing tactics on chess. So we're
We
doing our
are
best
every day, every day.
Doing our best to provide you with the insightful comments, and yeah, unfortunately this position is just calculation. There's no general principles that we can highlight, but just
3 more minutes for black.
yeah, 3
So
more
I'm
minutes.
curious what white is going to play. She's still thinking. We have her in
Yeah, that's the white player Maria Siekanska.
Siewkanska
Definitely
from
looking
Poland.
for the best option out there. I mean, she understands the position. She's just trying to use that extra spark of creativity to come up with maybe not Queen H5, Queen H2, but something that will get her out of these threats.
Any insights that we can gather maybe from the body language?
Okay, this kind of thing is like, oh, maybe I discovered something. When your eyes get bigger and you get interested, it's like, oh, maybe I discovered something, but
And then, okay, maybe not.
yeah, you like we discovered because we went through the same process. You discovered Queen H2. We say, okay, this is new idea, but it kind of fails to what's happening on the board. But this is the first step, trying to come up with ways of dealing with this G1 square. And okay, Queen H5, Queen H2 is one not so good, but one way, and then you can build it up. But I think this position doesn't really have additional nuances. It's probably the way to go is Magnus style. You exchange the queens and then you keep pushing. But I would still save some time, because if you spend all your time here, then there's no time for endgame execution, right? To exert your endgame
But
technique.
I don't think she's sure that she wants to exchange.
Oh, okay, maybe she's okay. That
Maybe
endgame,
she's
it's almost certain a draw, but it's always this idea of pushing and the pressure, and you can force a mistake. And this is
okay. She's looking at the board number 1. We could
Okay,
see her
what's
slightly
happening on
smiling.
board
So
number
something is going on board number 1.
Oh, okay, some knight fork. Okay,
Oh,
board.
wow.
Oh, okay. We were doing such a long speech, rook b2, trading, and suddenly the knight is in the game, and big mistake. Unfortunately, big mistake on board number 1.
Oh.
The player with the white pieces got a royal fork, and yeah, heartbreaking to see. Is there any chance? No, not really. Yeah, heartbreaking moments for Agnesa. Yeah.
Don't think she was expecting that. She was in the lead, and at this stage, She is leading the tournament. She was leading the tournament with 5 out of 5.
Yeah. 5 out of 5?
5 out of 5.
Oh, that's amazing. So
And I
5
don't
wins
think-
in a row.
5 wins in a row, and the position, I mean, we were almost certain that she would be winning.
But just to point out her fighting spirit, she had a way out here with knight f4, followed by takes rook g3, and it's a perpetual, probably. But she chose sort of keep going, and what happens if I take on g3? Ah, okay, there's rook f8 and queen d3. That was the trap. Okay, she set up this nice trap here, but unfortunate because queen c4, you're just thinking, okay, fg3, I have this rook f8, but you're missing the point with queen g2.
Do you think she's going to resign?
No. Oh, player on 5 out of 5, she has. I think she has the strength to come back.
With
I mean,
one minus piece?
we've seen miracles happen here in Mamaia. Rook b1, I think she's still fighting. I mean,
Maybe she's playing for
look at the knight on
the
a6.
time trouble.
The knight on a6 still hasn't
Been
found the
taken?
square. No, she
Well,
hasn't.
might be taken in one move.
Yeah, the knight on a6 is still out of place. So I have a pawn on d6. I can go rook b7. I can go a3. I can take on a7. The only problem would be the f3 pawn that rolls down the
She's
board.
very disappointed. I mean, obvious.
So here, if
Obviously.
black goes f3, the game is over, basically, because then I can hold on to your rook and I can bring my knight. But if you take on g3, maybe some hope. Remember, knight against the rook, it's draw. So there are some theoretical endgames where white can hold on, and a player with 5 out of 5. Okay, she goes f3, so.
Yeah, it's okay. Did we end
Okay,
on board number
it ended
2?
in board number 2.
Was I right?
Yeah, you
Was
are
it
right.
perpetual chat?
You are right. You are definitely
Thank
right
you.
on board 2.
Thank you.
Surprising decision, but
I had a gut feeling. I'm telling you.
yeah, she spent some additional minutes, but she decided that this is the way to go.
Okay, let's move on and see
Board
what the
number
board number 3. We've seen surprises on both boards. This is board 1, 2 from girls under 16. On board number 3, we have Petya Karaivanova, FIDE master from Bulgaria, playing against Dila Baloglu from Turkey.
Okay, this is the kind of scenario where it feels like the player with the exchange sacrifice made the right decision, because these pawns c4, d4, they're rolling down the board and they're opening up the bishop in a way that it's going to be hard to manage for white. Even though the material count is in white's favor right now, he's got a rook for a bishop and 2 pawns. Actually, that's not in his favor, that's in black's favor. So, just a win for black. Feels like, okay, there are some rook f6 ideas. Okay, she went queen g4. Queen g4, but now I think I can just do the pin, rook e4, queen c6, okay, bishop e4. Okay, now I just go queen e4, rook e2, and I go d3, and I go d2, and it's just over. So this pin is just too much on the e5.
Yep.
Let's have a look if rook f6 was working. I was just calculating some stuff, but takes and queen d4, but
We also have a request after this. so-
okay, of course. So yeah, it's not working. I can just go queen e5, and there is this, or rook f1. Okay, what do you think? So queen f6, actually not such a, okay, I can go rook e4, and that's it. Because if you take with the queen, I can take on d5. If you take with the king, there's queen d4, and sort of it works out. But the point is, you can just take on e4, and if I take the queen, there's checkmate on e1. Okay, we tried for white, but there's no.
It's kind of hopeless.
Hopeless, yeah.
Hopeless. Very
Okay, what is the request?
interesting. Because white is the favorite in this game. She's rated number 6 in this competition, and Dila playing black is number 16. So we have a request for girls under 18
Okay.
going to boards 5 and 6. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump to girls under 18, and then we're going to finish off this transmission with the open under 16 and under 18. So let's see how
Okay. Rook e2.
What board are we?
Is it Mihaela Trifoi's game? Probably Romanian fans.
Romanian fans, yes. We have a comment from Puia Gabriela on Facebook.
Puia Gabriela might be related to
Gabriel.
Alexia Puia, so we might go straight into the game.
So
Okay, black is an exchange up in just winning. Good news for Puia Alexandra's fans.
So this is actually on board 6. Puia Alexia playing against with black against Lyudmila Ivanitska from Ukraine, and Alexia is an underdog in this.
Yeah, but
In
just
this game.
winning.
So she's winning.
Clearly winning. She's clearly winning. Material count is better in her favor. No counterplay. Threats.
We have images from
Okay.
the board as well.
Okay, Alexia is with the black pieces
On board number 6.
on board number 6. Okay, she's just winning. White is 30 seconds left.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah, good for Alexia's fans.
For Alexia's fans. Let's see how things are progressing. Board number 5.
Okay,
We have
Mihaela.
Trifoi Mihaela playing black against Tokat Nehir,
Okay.
and Mihaela is a favorite in this game. So how is the
Mihaela,
position?
I was trying to figure out. It's an endgame, so we're
Okay.
on board number, just the board.
Board number 5.
Board number 5, just the neighbors of this game. So the position is opposite colored. I was just trying to figure out if this f2 square can be covered. Black is definitely better, or not really. Okay.
I mean, definitely is a strong
Yeah,
term.
it's too
strong.
strong. It's too strong because
Maybe better.
no, I was running some calculations in my mind,
Okay.
slow engine, but I think it's just a draw because any attempt to bring this rook, it's gonna be met by bishop d5. So it feels like all the pieces are neutralizing each other, and okay, and I think we have a finish in Alexia Puia. Okay, she won. So Alexia won the game. So good jinx for the comment. Once
Good
it got
jinx.
into the game.
Thank you so much, Puia Gabriel, for
And
for the comment.
congratulations for
And congratulations
probably daughters.
for Alexia.
Yeah, okay, bishop c5 by Mihaela. Yeah, I don't know if there's so much here for black. Okay, some rook d1. Yeah, it feels a bit drawish.
Drawish.
Yeah, there's no way of actually bringing the pieces, but they're playing like it's like all the pieces are on the board. Like, this is a weird move. Okay, you probably meet all these checks with the queen on the g5, but it feels a bit weird to go. But always we need to point out that if you overpress with black, there's always some problems. Like if you go rook d3 saying, okay, I have a pin, all of a sudden some...
No, you cannot.
Yeah,
really
rook
do that.
e8 and some problems
Bishop
might occur.
d4. No.
Yeah, it's a fine line here between overpressing and just holding on.
We're probably thinking it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, most likely the result is a draw, but the position still has some traps in it for both sides.
Let's see how we're doing on board number 1. We have Çiftçi Zeynep playing against Hakobian Ashtik.
Okay, Zeynep is with the white pieces.
Zeynep
Wow.
is with white pieces, and she's leading at this stage girls under 18 competition with 4.5 points out of 5 games.
Okay, connected passed pawns. Black needs to sacrifice the bishop for it. So it's kind of obvious the way the material count will be. We have images as well. We have this...
Not
this
really, if
exchange.
you're counting.
If you keep counting, it's...
Keep counting, yeah. Do a counting of the pieces.
Okay, so 5 pawns for black and 3 pawns for white, and a piece up for white.
A piece up.
And e6,
And 6.
just
Are
over.
they in time trouble?
It's 12 minutes for white and 2 minutes for black.
Okay.
But some hopeless stuff for black. Knight h4, just king g3. Okay, it's not that much to be said about this game.
No.
I mean, it's just a winning for
White is going
white.
for the win, and I don't
How many
think-
points is Zeynep gonna have?
5.5 out of 6.
Okay, so she will
So
move
she's
on
going
to
to
the
be
5.5.
still be leading the competition at this stage. Moving to board number 2, we have Vicar Martina. This is a player that we kept seeing in the live boards. She's really number 3 in this competition, playing white against blocking Sofia from Estonia.
Okay, and a similar situation, white is having 2 pawns advantage, and the bishop pair, black is probably lost. I mean, it's a technical win.
A technical win, for sure.
And again, there's not much to be said about this. So let's go to board
Number 3, Nadzamova Victoria playing against
Okay, this is
Ayana Alakverdibeya.
a bit more interesting, but as hopeless as the other ones. Okay, she
So
goes.
some hopeless positions. Yes, we're definitely entering our number 4 of this round. So we might see some very interesting
Okay,
games.
why decided to go full berserk with this rook sacrifice? Because there was not a way to deal with the situation. This b2 pawn was going towards promotion after b4. You cannot hold on to the b1 square, so the logical way was to just trade these pawns for a full rook. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not enough material. And again, technical win. For
Technical win. I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises here. But what we've seen is that we never know.
Of course, that
What experience
It's always-
has been teaching us is that we don't know, and this is actually the first thing that I learned the hard way. I think one
Okay.
of my first competitions is that the game is not over until you sign
the papers, yeah.
sign the papers,
The
and then
score sheets.
exactly. And this happened because I was in some really winning situations.
And it turned around, yeah?
And it turned around because I got relaxed. I was sure that I'm going to be winning, and I didn't focus as much because, again, I was so sure that I'm going to win, and I ended up losing some games. So it's really important to know that the fight is not over until it's over.
Yeah, great point. And it's also interesting to point out that after a tough sequence of moves, you need to relax a bit, because maybe you calculated a lot to get that advantage. But if you relax just a bit too much, then your brain goes into vacation mode and you cannot go back into the game. So we're always trying to fine-tune the details here with chess, because it's not always a general answer, never relax or always be relaxed. The trick is always to find the right balance.
To find the right balance. And as we discussed, because we have 20 more minutes out of this transmission for today, let's switch to Open 16 and see what interesting games we have for today. Let's see maybe some of the results, because again, I'm sure that some games are already finished. On board number 1, we discussed
Diego.
about Pino Diego playing with Malek
So
Jan.
Open 16, board number 1.
Number 3 against number 6 of this competition, so this definitely is a derby.
Okay, some tactics, but at the same time, this rook sacrifice was neglected. But of course, if you take the rook, queen e2, queen g2 is checkmate. Rook e1, okay. Now it feels that your rook is out of place on d3, and you might wonder, why did I choose to leave this amazing file just for a cheap trick? So again, valuable moment here. Amazing trap you cannot take because it's checkmate, but if your opponent just ignores it, then you realize you lost the control of the e file. But okay, if we switch back to concrete, queen h5, it's delivering another threat of checkmate, and it's not so easy to defend. So again, it's all about what's happening concretely. So rook d1 actually, wow, and queen d2, wow, this is amazing, wow, such an amazing moment. Rook d1 just didn't really occur, and queen to d2, and we have actually the players, maybe we can get a close-up. Rook e1, queen e1, okay, and we have a potential pawn endgame that black needs to calculate. C5.
So this is the current position.
Yeah, okay. So how do we do this pawn endgame? Takes 3. Queen h5. Okay, pawn endgame was not so clear, but maybe winning for black, I don't know. So the point is that you take. You need to bring your king because c5 is a
maybe
threat.
g5.
g5 is not in time after c5.
No, you
so
can't
you
do
need
that.
king g8.
King g8.
Now you're covered with c5 because d6, king f7. Okay, you lose this pawn on f3, but I was thinking I can have a distant passed pawn here. So it's close, but okay, according to theory, having a distant passed pawn is the defining factor. And here you are a pawn down, but these are double pawns and they may not count. So really important decision, but unfortunately for black, he only had 30 seconds to figure it all out. And you cannot, okay, but queen h5, okay, I was thinking it's a concrete way, but actually I can defend with king g1. So interesting to make this decision with only 30 seconds left. It's definitely not easy, and that's where the big book we keep mentioning comes into play, the Bible of endgames, the Dvoretsky book. When if you know your way around theoretical endgames, you need to make these decisions in a snapshot, right? But it's hard to make this kind of decisions because players need to trust their calculation, tend to trust their calculation more than general principles. And with 30 seconds, what calculation? There's no time to do that.
Not.
But I felt like this is winning, but we can check after the game. Maybe it's winning for white. We're running on Stockfish 2 here, and that's me. But okay.
It's always great. Let's see board number 2 to see how our calculation
some games
game
have
is going.
finished because it's
let's
our
see.
number 4 almost.
Let's see the result. So on board number 2, Siman Jakub playing with Milikov Eli.
So a win for white.
A win for
King
white.
on e5.
Oh wow.
I think we saw this game a bit, or not really.
No.
Oh, but look at this king on g6.
But very interesting because player
So cute.
rated favorite number 4 against favorite number 5.
Okay, so it's a really close encounter.
Really close.
Okay, and it was crazy, not complicated, adventurous, and you rarely see the king on g6. And yeah, interesting. They offer the queen trade here, but this is also a sign of a really good player. When even the king is weak, the queen trade offer is still better for black. But I don't see exactly why. But okay, already under 16, their engine is better than mine, so we can trust them. White won this.
Okay. Board number 3, we have Andrei Filip playing
Andrei
with black.
Filip, one of the best Romanian juniors, talented, hardworking. Unfortunately, he lost today.
Against Javier Habans Aguirre from España.
But at least we got an English opening. It was again this type of
Let me savor this for a bit.
this transposition to King's Indian. Did you have this when you had to face the King's Indian, even if you're hoping for the English defense?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, you cannot avoid it.
No, not really.
Were you playing with G3 or other?
G3.
G3, okay. So this is home territory.
Exactly.
Distant home territory for me because I tend to avoid this kind of stuff. But okay, this knight on B3 is distant territory for the position. I don't really understand. Maybe there's a point behind it, but yeah, it's too abstract for us. Maybe okay, needing to find a way for this knight on c5, but why go so away from home? And this is a consequence.
Yes,
your knight is on
exactly.
b3. Oh.
Wow. Move back a bit.
Yeah, it was
nice.
Tactics time because
Yes. Okay.
you could have had your knight on e6, let's say, and you have it on b3. And these things, these decisions, they have consequences.
Yeah.
In terms of the way the tactics work. Look at this knight on b3. It's like everybody is trying to defend the king and he's just... And I think it's so important to point out this knight on b3 because the whole game, the king was suffering, all of the pieces were working overtime and he was just sitting there protecting a1.
Good for him.
Yeah, okay,
Good
maybe
for him.
I'm a
He
bit...
didn't have to suffer that much. It's okay. Not everyone
I
has
was
to
a bit too
suffer
tough, but-
in the field.
The thing is that's what happens with chess. You neglect one small piece and then the whole construction just falls. Okay, tough day for Andrei's fans, which include me, but I hope to see him back
And bouncing
tomorrow.
back after
Bouncing
this
back
game.
and keeping the pieces together to work for the win. I think we can switch to under 18.
Exactly, where I'm sure we might have some maybe show some interesting at least end games.
Elham won. Elham Abdlaouf.
Exactly, he's already number one in this competition, and
He's the leader of this.
the leader of this tournament, moving to 5.5 points out of 6.
Okay, let's see him. He's playing against the Dragon. He's probably one of the best players here, according to ratings, for sure. So let's learn
If
some
not
chess
the best.
from. Yeah, he's probably the best player here. And let's see what we can learn from this game, because there's not much to comment usually on his games. It's just watching and enjoying the show. Queen c5, rook e2. Okay, solid position, stable, and now this h pawn push. Oh, just textbook. Going pawn on h6, and something will happen on those dark squares. And yeah, just that's it. Yeah, tough for Timothée. Maybe there were some moments here, but maybe this whole line fails to this exact approach. You trade the pieces and you're just playing with an advantage, you maneuver, and okay, nothing to add. Elham is he on 5.5 out of 6?
Yes.
He just made one draw, so let's see how his competition is doing. Emin Ohanian made a draw here.
A national derby. Maybe
Okay.
this is why Armenian derby. Emin Ohanian playing against Rostomian Mikhail, both of them from Armenia. Both of them had 4 points. out of
Actually,
5.
we were just highlighting the results because all of the games have finished, all of the live games with under 18.
Okay.
We have a win with Kazar Babazada. Here, he won against Eric Shakrian. Eitan Rosen made a draw. And for Romanian fans, Cristian Șerban won his game against Simon Lamase. He is the first player I'm seeing here playing on the live boards. So I think to end this transmission, we can watch this Mihaela Trifoi game because
Let's do that.
we had some images there and the action is still going on. The queens have been traded, and we can have a look at what's happening right now. She's playing with the black pieces. Interesting to see some sort of
We
checkmate.
predicted a draw in this
A draw
scenario.
is the most likely result, and we may add that white's pieces are a bit more coordinated. Let's see this from the black's perspective. You might be worried of rook f7, f5, f6 even. So a bit of a scare for black. These positions are so complicated because at first glance they're easy. They're
Equal-ish.
you can get tricked in these kind of positions where, as you said, maybe relaxed or maybe you don't find the way. And
How's the time?
okay, good point. They're both under 1 minute. At this stage,
Oh, wow.
we're talking about 4 hours in. They're both running on time. King g6, okay, f5, king h6. Okay, king in the corner. Not that pleasant.
And having under 1 minute on both ends, definitely it's not going to make this easy. And they might be prone to, obviously, not having the right amount of time to calculate. Very much.
F5 is normal, king h6.
Natural move.
Okay, let's king h6 only move, or not king f6, and I can
Yeah,
go king
king
e5.
f6. King f6.
I just had a small slip, but king f6 and king e5 is there, and I think it's safer to go in the
I
center
would say the same.
than going on h6 where things are. Okay, she went on h6, understandable. And can white bishop g8? No, bishop g8 would be checkmate in one threat, but rook d4.
Yeah.
There is rook d4 and I can defend. Wow. So interesting this endgame. So interesting. It's just unfortunate that this bishop on e1 is sort of cousin of that knight on b3 we saw in Andrei Philip's game, but
Tensions are really high.
But this is a weird decision to
Okay.
go rook e1 and to actually force this bishop to move away that was doing nothing. Is that kind of decision where, okay, I would go bishop c3, forget the pawn on the h file, And I have some trick with bishop f6 as well, so why not go for it? But if I regroup bishop c3, bishop f6, life is good. So I think it's the time to regroup and just keep it
Would I
connected.
have the
What kind of stuff?
rook d6, rook e6 maybe?
Yeah,
So
I
it
just take
wouldn't-
and it's okay. Bishop g3 is still same idea.
Yeah.
Any rook trade, easy draw.
Yeah, easy draw. That's true.
Because I can just block the pawns.
Yeah.
This we know how to evaluate the position without the rooks, but
Yeah.
with the rooks, it's that extra layer of complexity that keeps us guessing. Oh, bishop g3, she's still holding on with on the pawn on h4. Bishop c3 was still defending, but indirectly because you cannot take bishop f6. So still, maybe it's just 0-0 and.
Do you think that a draw was offered by one of the players?
Oh, wow, what a good question. Yes, a lot of times you see that. A lot of times you see that one of the players offers a draw in these kind of situations.
So you think none of them did at this stage?
I think it happened. I think
So you think it happened
probably
at some
black offered the draw because it feels like white is pressing a bit. Yeah, this is how Bogdan Dak is winning the games. He's getting you in this kind of positions and then he's just
He manages to
somehow, I mean, by being brilliant.
Of course.
And extremely accurate. But I think now it's the
I think the
turning
somehow
point.
is in positions that seem so maybe equal
yeah.
from the outside,
You don't feel the danger. That's the tricky
Exactly.
thing.
You don't feel-
You're not
you
feeling the
don't
danger,
feel
and
the
when you're
danger.
feeling it, it's too late. Okay, now good move by Mihaela, kicking the king out, and now I'm getting with king g5, and now white king is in the corner, and we can start making the same
maneuvers.
Okay, same maneuver with the reversed colors. Okay, now she's silently offering a draw.
Yes.
Let's see how white is approaching this. I mean, objectively speaking, it's kind of over. You had a bit of threats here and there, but okay, the truth is it's a draw. Let's see how she handles it. Probably the correct way is to keep going because you cannot risk anything, but okay, she keeps going with the rook to b8. Oh, some discovered attacks, but okay, not something critical.
Time? How are we with time?
Time under 1 minute. Still.
Okay, so
okay,
still-
look at this. Rook to d2. What's your move?
Oh, interesting.
Rook b4, king g5. Hello, Bogdan Dak skills. I mean, rook d2. And okay, you can defend with rook g8.
Sure, exactly.
But already I'm trying to pose some problems that weren't there before. I mean, this kind of rook d2, rook h2 wasn't on the board. So I think it's time for Mihaela to actually accelerate a bit and ask this question.
I'm looking at the time. Okay, 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
Hard to take these decisions under.
I mean, you just go rook d2 and see what happens. I mean, it's the kind of mating trap that...
I don't think playing this round
she goes king
for
g5 first. So it's still same
Same
trap,
approach.
different move order.
Exactly.
If you take on b4, rook d2. But it's a lot about the... If you can see both players' expressions, it's all about the face. If you're revealing that there's a checkmate threat, or if you're just, okay, this is a quiet...
What do you think reveals the checkmate phase? What
I
is
would
the-
get happy. I would get like, oh, there's a tactic and this kind of stuff.
Maybe we can have you in the images here, and you can do for us the checkmate.
Okay, rook b4.
Okay, the checkmate phase.
But what's happening after rook d2? It's checkmate? Or am I tripping? Wow. This is...
Okay.
I can't find the words, but it's entertainment.
No.
The trap has been set and...
The trap is trapping.
The trap is trapping. Wow, what a moment. Live in Mamaia.
I am shocked. Amazing.
Okay, good stuff for Mihaela Trifoy.
Amazing.
It's just checkmate.
I'm speechless.
Checkmate on the board.
Wow. Are we sure?
Yeah. I mean, still stockfish 2, but bishop e2. Okay, and keeps going, but you lose the bishop.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's chess.
Incredible.
It's chess. You don't have this in hobby horsing. So
We're going to discuss more about hobby horsing. I'm sure you have.
It's so close.
entertainment.
I was thinking
as
of some stalemate ideas, but the pawn is still on b3. No, it's over. It's over. Mihaela wins.
I am impressed.
Wow, what a game.
What a game.
And I think the poker face helped actually, because she was looking like this, like, okay, this is boring, this is going to be a draw.
What a game.
She's still poker face, but it's over.
Incredible. And she was, I think, offering the silent draw for sure.
Yeah, she offered the repetition. Overpressing has, wow, what
I
a
think
game.
it's hard for her to believe as well. I mean, and she's still maintaining the poker face.
Yeah, I think inside she's celebrating already, but there's no move. There's no move. Wow, what a game. We're so fortunate to have this game, and okay, we feel sorry for Nehir.
Of course.
She was pressing, she was trying to fight for a win.
It's heartbreaking to see sometimes a game that you were fighting for 4 hours.
Okay, she resigned.
She resigned. To see being destroyed in
What a moment.
one move.
Yeah, what a moment. And I think
What a game.
for Mihaela is a breakthrough in terms of standings. She's moving on to 5 points. A really important win.
And she's been fighting. She's really been fighting today. Great game, and we're so happy that we got to see this as the last game of our transmission today. Definitely tomorrow we're going to come back with the results, so we're going to start presenting you the results each day, because it's going to be round 7 of this competition. Already there's the fight is intensifying for the medals, and definitely we're expecting for you to be here with us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, to comment, to let us know what games you want to see. And I'm very happy to be doing this with you another couple of days.
Okay, I will take this compliment, me as well. I'm giving the compliment back.
Thank you.
You're really polite here in the studio. But okay, it's the end of this day. It was day number 6. We learned how to count pawns. We saw some amazing chess. We thank the team. We wish a happy birthday to our cousin here. With the images that you saw, it was all thanks to our cousin here who has his birthday. He's turning around between 40 and 60 years old, but he's a great guy. And we thank everyone watching, and we can see you today at 3 p.m. The same time.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, and yeah, bye-bye.